Oh, my apologies. It's already live. So welcome everybody to the Genesis Mindset. So today I'm going to be looking at DAI Stablecoin, pDAI, where it's going based on the macro market, or where I think, well, actually not even where I think, just what I'm seeing. So this is not a price prediction channel. This is really just, I find it fun to look at the charts and try and predict where things go. So yeah, it's not financial advice, even in the slightest. So also going to look at Dysnomia and huge warning with a beloved member, community member that wrecked himself, unfortunately. So that was, unfortunately, sadly, Zach. And then finally, Gbaby That The Gwat and the multiplier effect. So I'm not 100% sure on the multiplier effect, but I'm just, as I started to look at this, I've been really wrapping my head around it. So I'll bring this up, but as I get it up and set it up, I just want to emphasize, like, I'm just a dude with a microphone, man. Like, I'm not some expert. Just because I'm on YouTube, I'm not some expert. There's like this sort of misconception that probably because of the news and how we grew up watching the news and thinking that the person on the screen is the authority, and this is how they kind of brainwash us into thinking and believing certain things about reality. So please don't think that I'm some sort of expert, because I'm really not. I'm just a dude that's trying to work this stuff out, and this is what I find it fun, and I like sharing it. So I want to emphasize that yet again. So Bobby Lucas, position trader, opportunity seeker, and a Vinci de Quest Vincit, whatever the hell that means. Something 5, something maybe. Maybe he's going to be a 555er in the future. Who knows? So Bobby Lucas says, little bounce is not surprising, but I would bet we see a deeper low before a new high weeks ahead. But you know what? It's going to be okay. It's going to be a very good 2025. Signing off for the remainder of the year. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year. And I said, I'm with you, Bobby. I'm with you. And actually, I'm gonna repost this. So this was also part of my thesis, the fact that everything was going up, and there was this expectation that everything was going to continue to go up. And it's not to say that it won't. It's just to say that there was a lot of expectation that I saw in the market. So in particular, when we looked at, well, when you look at the Bitcoin price, it's been going crazy for so long, right? So whether it keeps going crazy, nobody knows. Obviously, it's had a big pullback, drop below 100K. And everything is tied to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is like the big daddy that pulls everything. So because everything is liquidity bonded, so due to Hart's law, everything across every single blockchain gets dragged up and down with Bitcoin. So yeah, I really liked this perspective. And then also because I saw Somi make a tweet the other day about the fact that everything in the last 3 cycles is pumped during the Christmas period. And so because it's pumped and everybody's expecting that it's going to pump, then it probably means that it's not going to pump, right? I mean, it could. I could be wrong. And again, I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen or this is not what's going to happen. I'm simply just observing things and presenting something as I see it. So it's not a yes, it's not a no, it's not an up or it's not a down. The other day I did a video that pDAI was collapsing. Terminology was incorrect. But then I looked up the description of collapse, and it was like a breakdown of structure. And I was like, well, I mean, if you look at the daily, it was really a breakdown of the structure. So I thought I was wrong, but in actuality, when I looked up the description of the word, maybe I wasn't. So yeah, something interesting there. So what's this one here? So yeah, it's all just a matter of perspective, right? It's all just what we see in the market. So if I take the translation of Bitcoin, and then I'm looking at what's happening in Pulsechain, because Pulsechain is the thing that's leading everything, right? So, or Pulsechain and PulseX. So if we look at Travis Connor's prediction here, and this is perfectly valid. This is a perfectly valid thesis based on what he's seeing in the chart. So he says Pulsechain retest complete. Send it higher, 100x incoming. It's perfectly valid. We've had a higher high, and then a retest of the higher high. So it's very perfectly valid. Having said that, you could also, really, it's technical analysis is really just, it's very subjective, right? You're just drawing lines and using things on a chart which will present a certain thesis and a certain argument. So he could be completely right. He could be completely wrong. Nobody really knows. The only thing that's going to tell us is the end result. And I feel like the whole financial industry is based on, the whole financial industry is really just, it's just a gigantic Ponzi. And even now I'm starting to see like, oh, the debt ceiling, we've hit the debt ceiling and they're going to have to close the Congress. They're going to have to suspend Congress. So I'm already seeing like signs from what I see. I feel like there's these little indicators in the market of like, it's almost like they're pre-preparing us for the fact that we're going to have more of a downturn coming up. And so, yeah, I could be completely wrong, could be way off. It's just my perception. It's just based on how I'm seeing the reality. So it's not, it's just a perspective, right? So really the way that you should be doing it, you shouldn't be listening to any one individual person. You should be listening to like a multitude of people and formulating your own thesis and having your own conviction. Because then when you make the decision, you're the one that makes the decision and there's nobody else to blame but yourself. There's no one else to take responsibility but for yourself. And there's no one else to thank but yourself when you actually get the win. So what's up, DJ Bomber? What's up, Conspiracy Crypto? Aldo Rio, what's going on, my friend too? Mark, what's going on, Mark? What's going on, bro? Good to be DMing with you. You weren't wrong about a pullback. Yeah, there has been a pullback, yes, but now I'm going to go into that now, actually. So let's go into that now. So again, I'm always looking at the macro of Pulsechain. So I'm going to use PulseX as an example. And what I want to have a look at in this particular instance is, again, I don't do Elliott waves or nothing like this. There's other people that do that and other people that are probably more in tune with it. But it was something that I noticed a lot when I was doing leverage trading. Things move in waves, and I noticed that. So if you have a look at here, it goes up once, comes down twice, 3, 4, 5. And so I've seen the same thing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, that's probably what somebody could look at and go, that's Elliott wave. And then what did we have here then when this happened? It went down. It went down. So I'm looking at this going, I'm expecting it down. But I could be completely wrong because it's just the market conditions are going to determine how this moves. If Bitcoin goes ballistic, for example, and the whole crypto market goes ballistic, then of course this is totally invalidated. So all that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to look at all the different pieces of the puzzle because it's fun. I'm trying to work out this puzzle that is cryptocurrency. Even though I'm not even taking positions based on this, I just find it extremely enjoyable. As an architect, I like solving puzzles. So for me, this is like this puzzle. So it's really fun. But you shouldn't be basing your investment decisions based on what I say or what I do. So that's what I see with pDAI. And then I have a look at Atropa to Die. So somebody was asking the other day, I think it was maybe Robert or somebody in the comments. So the way that he was asking, the chart looked very different to the chart that I had for Atropa and Die. So by default, Dex Screener and most places will have by default the first token priced against the US dollar. So obviously at the moment, this is worth 0.1229 US dollars. So one Atropa is equal to 0.1229. But I'm interested in seeing it priced against DAI Stablecoin, so pDAI. That's what I'm interested in. So I'm interested in looking at these liquidity flows. This little yellow bar chart, somebody shared this with me in the comments, so I've just brought it up here just to kind of, just to see what's going on, what's going down with this. So this is Atropa and down. And so I'll put this to the side for now, but again, one thing that I noticed here was this huge volume spike. So here, it could be any number of things. Look, you have a huge volume spike here, which is like a middle finger. It could be this one here, which means all that we're doing now is going sideways before a huge pump. This was in Atropa to Die. But this didn't necessarily mean a pump in pDAI. What this actually did do, it did mean a pump in pDAI because they're very heavily liquidity bonded. So whenever one goes up, the other one at this particular time was also going up. So what's that, the 11th of August? This will probably be the 11th of August here. Oh, The 11th of August is here. So it ended up giving it like another little push up. So if you have a look here, 11th of August, pump sideways, 4th of September, up until, let's say, the 16th of September. And this will probably be about the 16th of September around here. And this is where it started to reverse. So it started to come down. And then this also started to come down. But now, so this was, when I was first looking at the Atropa ecosystem, things were like inversely correlated due to the percentages of the supply and the liquidity pools, due to the percentages of bonding. So for example, I probably should have shown it. I wasn't anticipating going into this, but basically I used to show this in my first videos with Atropa and showing that Atropa was pumping Pulsechain. So at the very start, up until probably around, let's say, this is on the 3 days. This is also on the 3-day. What date is this? Did we say it was the something of September, the 13th, 16th of September? So where's the 16th of September here? So it's down, 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 and this is basically just up, up, up. So it was inversely related. So it was almost like the Atropa assets were being used to pump Pulsechain and the Richard Heart core coins, which is also why I'm a Pulsechain agnostic. I just want everything on the chain to succeed, because I don't see it as being in competition. I see it as being in harmony. So I see that things have their different seasons, but it's all just the one thing. So some people, they love the winter. Some people, they love the summer. But in the end, it's all just the one thing, right? It doesn't matter whether you love the winter or the summer. The summer's going to come and the winter's going to come, whether you like it or not. So it's the same thing with all these different assets. And I saw them as being correlated in an inverse way up until probably around about this point. And then they started to become bonded. So, I mean, yeah, it's not so clear now because I'm showing it against DAI Stablecoin. But if I showed it against, say, the US dollar, the Atropa to the US dollar, it becomes more clear. So, yeah, you can see really here, it was going up for a long time, and this was going down for a long time. You can see here going down, this is going up. And then as this started to go down, this started to go up. And then they became like really bonded, and now they've started to move in harmony with each other. So it was almost like this sort of pre-establishment of the system. So now, the thing that I wanted to see here, which is something that I noticed, was as we had this huge sideways period, pDAI was going down. DAI Stablecoin was going down. So again, these bar charts here are just here as like a, this is down an Atropa, and this one here is the chart just above. So you can see it's just the chart just above. So now, we had it going down while this was going sideways. So what am I seeing here? I'm seeing this kind of sideways momentum with Atropa to die, which possibly could mean that we're going to have down, because here, as let me just kind of make these a little bit clearer. It's probably, I'm hoping, yeah, it's probably could have been a little bit clearer. Let me just turn these off up here, header, footer, and I'll minimize the card height so maybe you can see it all in one screen. That was the objective of trying to show these, but I find them to be, they're really cool, but also at the same time, oops, a little bit difficult to explain. So if you have a look here, you have this huge sideways action with Atropa to die, and as that's happening, pDAI is going down. And then there was like an inverse relationship. So as this was going down, Atropa pDAI was going up. And so now we're going through this like sideways, where for me, it's like, okay, this is a potential indicator that this is going to go down. Could be completely wrong. It's just something that I'm looking at. It's just an indicator that I'm looking at. So yeah, this is down to Atropa. So down to Atropa is like inversely related. So when Atropa is going up, down is going down. And I don't think that there's a coincidence in the naming there. And when down is going down, then Atropa is going up. Sorry, I just said that. And then when down is going up, Atropa is going down. So if you have a look at these pairs, they're inversely related. So down and Atropa are inversely related. So I was looking here saying, all right, we've got all this volume. We have a potential reversal here where this could be a bottom, question mark, question mark, question mark. So it's not a certainty. It's just a question mark. It's just analyzing things as they are. and so it could be completely wrong. So in any case, yeah, I don't know. My feel is more downward momentum, but could be completely wrong. Could be completely 100% wrong, and it's totally okay. So what I did notice, if we sort of zoom into the daily here, this was like my first box, and so it's really bouncing off this kind of a level here, the 0.17, so 1.7 cents. It's really bouncing a lot off this 1.7 cents. It's touched it a few times, so it's touched it here, and then it bounced off it and couldn't break the all-time high, came back down to it once, came back down to it twice, came back down to it a third time. So for me, it kind of looks like it's going to try to come up and then fail and then come back down again. And then we have where it can go to the 1.5, and then the most like first bearish is around this point, around 1.3 cents. This is my ultimate bear scenario, where it dips below the 1 cent mark. That's my ultimate bear scenario. That's my ultimate desire, but I don't think it's going to get there. That's just a wish. That's hopium. That's pure hopium. Everybody else wants it just to go up by Christmas, but for me, I want it to go down to the 1 cent, below the 1 cent mark. So I just onboarded another friend today into Pulsechain, and I explained to them about what the magic and glory of Pulsechain is, and they, in their CoinSpot account, they got bonk, and they're like, "What's bonk?" And I explained the concept of meme coins, and I explained how the Atropa ecosystem and Pulsechain, the meme coins here with Teddy Bear, for example, is a completely different concept to meme coins in Solana, which are just one way in, one way out. And I also mentioned like the Hawk Tour. So yeah. All right, let's move on to Dysnomia now. So this is just for the lols. I was just, I kind of shot myself in the foot in a way. So I'll go through some of these comments as well. Contrix Beatbox. I don't think I've ever seen you in here, man. Nice to meet you, man. So TA isn't going to do much, just a rule of thumb when it comes to the mind check. Completely agree, Mark. Completely agree. It's just it's best to get behind the narrative with solid TA. I completely agree, man. And the TA is just like an indicator. It's really nothing to money printer goes, bro. It's really nothing to go off. It's just like another indicator, right? With the money printer, that's another thing which is really interesting, right? So we've reached the debt ceiling with the US dollar. They've hit the debt ceiling, so they're either going to have to increase it or suspend Congress. So there's all this. I'm seeing all these signs, and then I'm also seeing signs on, like in my group chats and also on Twitter. The people, I'm seeing the people who are like the people who have control of their emotions saying this is just a dip, just chill out. I'm seeing those people start to say that, but I'm also seeing people that don't have control of their emotions going, "Oh, this is the worst thing. I didn't take any profits. We're going to go down. This is the end of the bull market." I'm seeing that also. So I'm seeing this. I'm just seeing the same dynamic play out. But what I did notice as well, the US dollar to the Australian dollar is like the ratio is huge. It's like, yeah, the US dollar is so strong because there's so much of it in circulation, and it's really just kind of sitting there in reserve. So good morning, Malphite. What's going on, man? Nice to see you. Love your early morning alpha. What's going on, Adam? We're going to get into the LAUs just now, man. There's a bit of a warning to come up for that. So yeah, stay tuned. My pleasure, Contrix, and LFG Gbaby. Love yourself. Yes, love yourself. We definitely should be doing this. So I was just having a laugh. So the Dysnomia chat has been going crazy because one of our beloved community members, Zach, he made a mistake with the ratios that he did with his LAU token. And yeah, there's a part of me that's like, I've been hyping it up because I've been very excited about what I've been seeing, but I'm also no expert. I've been very explicit about this almost in every single episode. But still, I mean, even with one of my family friends, he's constantly trolling me. He's like the biggest troll of this channel. And I'm just like, I'm always telling people that I'm just learning this stuff, man. But what I see here, nevertheless, is a new financial system. And unless you really go down the rabbit hole, then you're not going to see it. If you're just looking at the headlines, you're not going to see this financial system that I see emerging on Pulsechain with the Atropa ecosystem and Dysnomia. And so for me, I'm very excited to share it. But in that excitement to share it, I forget to talk about the risks associated with it, because cryptocurrency is just a bunch of people trying to steal money off each other. Essentially, that's what it is, right? It's really that's exactly what it is. We're putting all our money into a pot of gold, and who can pull out who can pull it out first. Basically, that's what it's all about. So I just had a laugh, and I was like trying to lighten the mood. So Rugnomia instead of Dysnomia. So yeah, I wanted to just lighten the mood, because poor old Zach, he lost a lot because he bonded his LAU token 1-to-1 with BFF. So when you first create a LAU token, I'm not going to go through this process of connecting because I've been it so many times. But when you go through a process of creating a LAU token, 2 of your tokens basically go onto the market that anybody can snipe those 2 tokens. So what ended up happening was Zach created his token, and then he bonded 1-to-1 with BFF, which means one of his tokens is valued at the price of 1 BFF. So BFF at the time that he did it was worth like 14,000. Now somebody else, before he even bonded the tokens, got one of those tokens, because 2 of the tokens ends up going out into circulation. So this might have been what happened to you, Adam. But now someone has actually, or not Helios, Bay 2.0 has fixed it. So when you do, because this is what Maria did. This was just the code that Maria created. And so I've kind of hyped it up without going into the risks, in my excitement of seeing what it is and what it means, and liquidity pools and liquidity webs. But also the nature of questions that I've been getting shows me that I've been going maybe too fast, because 1, I don't fully understand it myself, but I'm also obviously maybe a few steps ahead of everybody else. But I'm having questions like extremely basic questions about even creating liquidity pools. And so I just want to encourage people to just slow down. Let's calm down, slow down, and learn the very basics of even what a liquidity pool is. If you've never created a liquidity pool before, you shouldn't try to be creating a liquidity web, least of all trying to interact with this. So I would definitely just caution people, just slow down, understand the risks, understand what's going on, and that this is really just, I mean, for a start, Dysnomia is a game. It's going to be a game of some description. But really just to slow down. Just slow down and start to learn things on a deeper level. So what I'm trying to do with all of this is I try to learn it, and then I try to share it. But I get a little bit too hypey, because that's just, I get very excited about what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling about it. So I still believe the Dysnomia ecosystem is going to be huge. I still believe that starting to learn about it now is really going to be a beneficial thing. But I just want to caution people to slow down, because if we don't know the very basics and we make some mistakes, then things can happen to us like what happened with Zach. So we ended up having like a lengthy discussion, and there was finger pointing and blaming. And there was good arguments on both ends of the spectrum. So it was a very interesting thing. So, I mean, look, at the end of the day, like I said, crypto's we're just taking money off each other. That's what it's all about. And that's what I liked about the Atropa ecosystem. So even though there is this element of taking money off each other, there's also this element of the math supporting it up and to the right. That's what I loved about the Atropa ecosystem. I never wanted to be a show. I never wanted to be a channel that, like, people often ask me like, oh, can you talk about this token and that token? And I'll be honest with you, it really doesn't interest me. It doesn't interest me even in the slightest. Like even this Gbaby, I'm going to talk about it, but it's really not. The individual token is like, it's kind of boring. I'll be honest. It's like, there's no difference with Gbaby to any other token. And maybe that's shooting myself in the foot. But what I love about the Atropa ecosystem is it's a system. It's a system of tokens that are working together, that are creating a financial system. That's what I love about it. That's what I love about it more than anything. But most people really are thinking about it on the perspective of, what if I put my money in? I want it to go up, and I want to hear more about it. And so there's nothing wrong with that, even in the slightest. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But I'll be honest, it's not really something that particularly interests me. So yeah, maybe I'll end up losing followers for that. I have no idea. I hope not, because I really want people to like learn with me, but we'll see how it goes. So the ratios, what ended up happening with Zach? So very simply, ratios. So as I mentioned earlier, with the US dollar and the Australian dollar, the ratio at the minute is $1 US will buy you $1.61 Australian dollars. So the US dollar is very strong compared to the Australian dollar. So inverse to that. So AUD to USD. So basically I need $1.60 as an Australian to buy $1 US. Since I've been looking at markets, I've never seen it so strong. So yeah, I mean, I probably would have been looking around about just after maybe kind of around this point. So I've never seen it this strong, and it's probably has potentially been a little bit stronger at other times. But yeah, it's extremely strong, the US dollar to the Australian dollar. So that's a ratio. So on Pulsechain, 1 DAI to 1 USDC is a ratio. Now, what Zach ended up doing was he created his LAU token, so my coexistence LAU token, to the DAI stablecoin. I think it's worth, actually, so 1 DAI stablecoin will buy, wrong one, here we go. That's why I accidentally did it with the rod. 0.29. So in other words, and this is not going to be accurate, 100% accurate because of slippage and the size of the liquidity pool, but basically one coexistence Steven is around about $3.20. It's probably going to be like $3.30 just for the culture. So that's the ratio between that token and DAI. So what Zach did, so let's go BFF, that delayed to DAI. So 1 BFF, and this will depend on the size of the liquidity pool. I mean, you can see it here. So yeah, 1 BFF is worth 9,000 at the moment with slippage. So it's around about 10,000, right? And so Zach, unfortunately, one of his first liquidity pools was BFF with his LAU. So he did 1-to-1, which means one of his tokens is worth 1 BFF, which means one of his tokens is worth over $10,000 at the time. And so what this did was it created an opportunity where the people who got the first 2 LAU tokens were able to basically trade into that pool and take out a shitload of value. So all they did was they had these tokens, which they do all the time. I have a feeling, I think I know who it is, but I don't want to it's not a witch hunt. It's just, it is what it is, right? It's just the nature of the game. And then they swapped into that pool and they swapped out BFF. So now they ended up taking out like thousands and thousands of dollars out of that liquidity pool. And that's the game. That's fair. It's all fair and square, right? And it's also like, I really thought, this sucks. But at the same time, it does. And it was shit for Zach. But also it was a good lesson for Zach in not rushing in too quickly, trying to understand what ratios are. But also, I also thought about it from the perspective of like crypto at large. Like, this is crypto, man. Like even this, I'm going to look at Crypto 7. So 7G. So this just got launched and I've seen Brizology ripping into him that he was a top wallet. He was a top wallet holder and it did a rug pull. And it's the same as Hock2, right? It's a game, man. It's a game where there's basically a pot of gold. We're all throwing our gold into this pot, and we're all sitting there waiting for the pot to get fatter and fatter and fatter, and we're all greedily waiting. It's nothing more than greed. Let's be very, very clear about this. It's nothing more than greed. Nobody gives a shit about the person on the other end. We're all just greedy, self-centered pigs, and we're looking at this pot of gold, waiting for it to fill up, waiting for it to fill up, waiting for it to fill up, and I'm going to be the first one to pull it out. That's what cryptocurrency is, essentially. Every single cryptocurrency without exception. Without exception. Without exception. There's not a single cryptocurrency on the planet, not a single stock on the planet that is an exception to that rule. So without exception, that's exactly what it is. So what happened here? Basically, all it is, the rug pull happened within a very short period of time, within an hour, quote unquote rug pull. And so Brizology basically criticized Crypto 7. We don't know if it was Crypto 7, whoever the top holder was, that they started selling the top. But you know what? How is this any different to Hex? How is this any different to Pulsechain? So we have all these maxis who are self-righteously criticizing everyone that's in meme coins, but make no mistake, they want your gold in their pot. Everybody wants your gold in their pot so that they can pull out of it and we all fuck each other over the end. That's what it really all comes down to. And it pisses me off, which is why I'm really not interested in talking about individual tokens, because in the end, like, all that people use me for is like a way to promote an individual token. If someone who has thousands of followers talks about it, then other people start to buy it. So I get used for that, and I'm under no illusions about that. But that's why I'm not interested in it. That's why I'm interested in the Atropa ecosystem as a totality, as a system of like trying to study this system. No one else is really interested in that. And it sucks because I want other people to help me learn. But in any case, it's the same thing. So Hex went up to 56 cents, and there's people now with Lambos and mansions and Lamborghinis and motorbikes and superbikes, and the rest of us were sitting on a bag that went from hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars down to thousands or tens of thousands. It's all the same game. It's just about the time span. So how is it any better that Brizology is saying that he's a scammer and a rugger, and what did he do? All that happened was it's the same game. It's exactly the same game, but the length of time is different. So instead of it being a year where Hex was launched and it went for a year or 2 years to the all-time high, and everyone's just waiting for that top, and then we have the people that take all the money out, all the gold out of the pot, or if it happens within a 1 hour period, what's the difference? Same as Hocter. What's the difference? There is no difference. There's no difference. Even all the people blaming Hocter, there's no difference. I'm sorry to say, and it makes me sad to say it, but those people are only responsible for themselves, and I hope she gets away with it. I hope she gets away with it because she did nothing wrong. She just did what everybody else in crypto does, but we just dress it up with different words. So high stakes hot potato. Exactly, bro. That's all it is. That's all crypto is. It's just PvP. No one gives a shit about each other on the other end. You know, we love each other when we're all in the same token. I mean, isn't it obvious? It's the same thing. It's just human behavior. Like, yeah, this guy's my friend because we both have this token, but in the end, he's going to be your enemy because you're going to be taking money from him. That's the sad reality of it. What's the other meme coin on Pulsechain besides Teddy Bear? Alex, there's heaps, bro. There's heaps. So Gbaby's one. But what I'm interested in with Gbaby is the dynamics of it compared to BFF. So that's what I'll be looking at. So before I get into that, so yeah, make sure that you understand ratios if you're going to create a LAU. Make sure you understand ratios. Look, don't just listen to me. Don't just listen to me because I'm trying to explain this concept. But there's like YouTube channels, maybe like Whiteboard Crypto, that will explain this with diagrams and images. Like, look at a multitude of sources to understand what it means to create a token with a ratio. It's literally just what token A versus token B, and then what's the ratio between those two tokens. So with USDC and DAI, it's 1-to-1, or it's basically 1-to-1. It might be like slightly different, but it's basically 1-to-1. USDC to USDT is basically 1-to-1. Whereas compared to other tokens, it'll be 1 to $3.30 or 1 to whatever, 14,000. it's different. That's the price. So I mean, yeah, really understand what that means first, and then create a liquidity pool first before really diving in deep to the web. Just start basic, start very basic. So, all right, the P stables. So for me, this is something that I look at, and this is something where another kind of indicator that I look at where we might be heading towards some kind of a bear market. And I have to be careful with the words. For me, I've been saying it from the start of this channel, but basically, whenever the Atropa ecosystem is going down, it's like an Atropa bear market. So this went down from basically the start of April to the start of September. So that was the Atropa ecosystem bear market. And it's not a bear market like everything's going down and we're all going to die. It's just like a mini market cycle within a macro market cycle. So this is obviously up and to the right. You can see it's up and to the right, but it has ups and downs. So here, this is like a bear trend. Maybe I need to use the word trend. So this is a bearish trend. So here's another bearish trend from the start of September until the start of December. That's a bearish trend. So we had a bearish trend from the start of August to the start of September of this year. And so what I'm arguing is that we're going to have a bearish trend from basically the start of December. I don't think it's going to go to April because we're in a bull market. So this bearish trend is not going to last as long as 3 months. It's not going to last that long, but it still will go down. And so we've seen that. But whether or not that's the lowest, I have no idea. Literally no idea. So Den Poppins, is that Denny Bop? Is that Denny Bop? It's bad. Not sure what that was. Yeah, I mean, it is Aldo Rio, but at the same time, it's just like, I mean, if you wake up and you see this thing, like, you know, we're quick to judge, but I'm not going to say who's not going to do it, because if it was me personally and I know Zach, I'd look at that and go, Zach, do you realize that I'd be able to take this out? I would tell Zach that, because I love Zach and I don't want him to get hurt. And he's been hurt by this. Other people, it's just black and white. It's just trading. And we shouldn't have a witch hunt for those people as well. So I've really enjoyed seeing both sides of the argument. I really have. The really logical and the really emotional. And I'm just presenting again that information as I see it. So ROI Games. Do you like Gbaby? Can I guess? Do you like Gbaby? You'll make it big when pDAI peaks. So Gbaby That The Gwat. So yeah, what was I showing here? So the map. So yeah, this is another thing where. So basically, this is another piece of alpha that people have totally forgotten about. But affection burns pDAI to mint affection. And so basically, the affection supply, total supply, is the same as the Atropa token, which is about. I mean, Atropa is not, which is about. It was 1,111,000,000 right? Same as what's going to be with affection. But affection's already had some burnt supply, and how to actually mint that is you burn the P stables to mint it. And so when DAI Stablecoin is strong against affection, you can't mint it. It can't be minted. So I mean, it can, because it's not to say that it can't, but it can't be, the supply can't be burnt, because I mean, it can, but you wouldn't do it because you're losing value every time you do it. So basically, the best time to burn it is when it's up here. So that's why I'm showing this now, because I'm trying to share some alpha for people that are interested in minting affection, that it looks like it's coming towards the 1-to-1. And so when it starts to get towards the 1-to-1, that's when it's going to be the time to start to mint it. I have been minting it personally within this region here, simply because the process of minting, it basically burns pDAI or PUSDC into G5, PR, like P independence, and what's the other one? The math token. And then you burn those math tokens. You burn those other tokens to then mint the affection. So there's like a step. So you burn the P stables to mint those, and then you burn those to mint the affection. And so the P stables have been expensive. but nobody has been minting these, so they were actually in a good price. So I adjusted the code of the affection minter that not Helios had shared with everyone, and I adjusted the code so then I could mint. So then I ended up minting like I don't know, let's say like it's been let's say about 4 to 6 million Pulsechain, 4 to 5 million Pulsechain by doing that. So I'd burn that, mint affection, and sell it into Pulsechain. Burn that, mint, and then buy that, burn it, mint, sell it back into Pulsechain. And then buy, burn, mint, sell it back into Pulsechain. Buy, burn, mint, sell it back into Pulsechain. So I did that. And so there was nobody else that was doing that. So I did that because I had a look at this website, and I've shared this website, mint.af.icu. I should probably start putting this website here, by the way. So this is Frank White. So shout out to you, Frank White, because it's a bloody good website. This is like an aggregator for all the websites in Pulsechain. So yeah, I definitely recommend having a look at this, but not Helios's. These are his 4 websites, and one of them is mint.af.affection. I'm just going to copy this into the chat now if anyone wants to go there. And so I'd have a look at here, and I'd see that, oh, look, there's a profit here to be made. But yeah, okay, there's a profit to be made, but by the time you pay for the gas, at the moment it's sort of quote unquote not actually really profitable. I haven't tried it, but yeah, if the gas is too expensive, then it becomes not profitable. But when I was doing it, I noticed this, and I'd seen like the cost was 1 cent, the return was 2 cents. And so basically before I started minting and burning and minting, it was like, I don't know, let's say 150, and then you get a return of 300 Pulsechain. So you might look at that and go, oh, 150 Pulsechain. But if you multiply that by thousands and thousands of units, it ends up being profitable. So like I said, I minted like millions of, I ended up making millions of Pulsechain from that process. But nobody else is doing this. And I've shared it. I even shared it while I was doing it. But it's not the sexy like 10,000x. Let's buy this thing and it's going to go to 10,000x tomorrow, and I can get my yacht, and I can get with the hookers and the snorting and of the cocaine. I didn't know Baby was an Atropa cousin when I bought it. Gbaby That The Gwat. You're damn right, son. So you have BFF That The Loat, and then you had Gbaby That The Gwat. So it's Maria's babies, even better. So Gbaby, Maria's Maria's son. Maria, real G for making Atropa and needs a Gbaby. That's why he created Gbaby. Maria does need a Gbaby. Teddy Bear needed a friend. Possibly. Gbaby, massive pump coming soon. Hey, Maddie. Man, I've been... Oh, gosh, I love Maddie. If you guys haven't listened to Maddie's interviews with Maria and Maddie's interviews with just a lot of people, go to KSB TV and go listen to Maddie do interviews. Like, Maddie's such a lad. You're such a lad. Maddie, the most pressing question that I had with your interview with Maria was, what beer were you drinking, Maddie? I want to know what beer you were drinking. Are you a lager guy? Are you a craft beer guy? It was a question that was most on my mind. Oh, so I love you, Maddie. Nice to see you in here as always. So I really want to meet you in real life one day, man. Gbaby's heading for 290. The Fibonacci. All right. So join the resistance. FBG 666. I don't know what FBG 666 is. If you want to enlighten us on that, because I'd love to know what that is. I like Gbaby. I also like HotX. I don't know what HotX is. Matt in Bali, who's now in Australia. What's going on, Matt? Is Blaster an Atropa ecosystem? Blaster is not. Blaster, I don't think it's even a tax token anymore. Blaster used to be a tax token that would give you a reward in Pulsechain, but I think they've removed the tax. So I'll come back to this tomorrow to learn. Thanks, Ivy Lane. Could you also check Teddy Jr.? I will not do that. Sorry. It's not that I don't want to. It's just that, yeah, like I mentioned earlier in the stream, I don't know what the contract address. I can't be bothered. So to be perfectly honest. Okay, so Gbaby to affection, to BFF. So the reason why Gbaby is such a high, it started at such a high price is, and again, this is the same thing, man. It's the same thing with let me just make sure that, because I thought it was like 1400. Oh, anyway, it's thereabouts, right? It's probably against, because it's against Pulsechain. Maybe the one that was to BFF that the late ended up starting at 14,800. So that's why Maria's target was 14,800. So why was that the case? Because when Maria, I hope it's open on this one, when Maria launched it, 5,000, and then with the 3 at the end. Why the 3 at the end, Maria? Why? So basically, Maria made it 5,000. Gbaby was worth 1 BFF. So this is how it became a multiplier. So Gbaby ends up becoming a derivative of BFF. So what does that mean? So if we have a look at the bottom here, and this is something that I didn't notice until I started putting this video together, by the way. So first of all, go listen to KSB TV. So Maddie, Crypto Charla, and Sonny the Detective. Go listen to that stream and listen to it 100 times until you really start to understand what Sonny's saying. And I have to listen to it another 100 times to really understand what Sonny's saying, because Sonny's like just on another level, and we're all just like really trying to learn together. But Sonny's got all the math figured out. So listen to that. And then he was basically describing this as a multiplier. And he described multipliers in the past and I didn't understand. Then it became apparent once I started to look in, like once I heard that, oh, this is what it means to be a multiplier. And then once I started to look at the chart. So if you have a look at the chart here, what ended up happening was Maria owned the majority of the supply and then dumped the shit out of it and basically said it's going to get to about 10 cents based on his calculations for his dumping. So what did he do? He was selling Gbaby, and this is something that I didn't realize. About the 8K target with BFF that the low. So let's have a look at the dates here. So this is the 9th of November. So Gbaby, he was dumping Gbaby, and I suspect he was selling Gbaby for BFF. So as he's selling this down for BFF, what does that mean? That means BFF's pumping. And so if you have a look at this, 12th of November, 9th of November to the 12th of November, have a look at this. So the 9th of November, and this has just got, this ended up going up to the 8K mark. So the 12th of November was here, and then this is where it this is where where Gbaby bottomed. And then essentially they're locked in liquidity. So in terms of the ratios, Gbaby is sitting in position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it's sitting in position 11 with BFF. But if you look at the charts, as a matter of fact, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. I know who would. I'm so sorry, but I get bad with like remembering names. I know it's. I don't even want to like discredit this person by saying the wrong name. But it starts with an R, and I know that much. And it maybe Rug Dealer on Telegram, but I can't remember what your name was on. If you have a look at this, I can't remember what your name was on in the comments here. Sorry, but you see that the movements are very, very similar, are they not? So when Gbaby started to pump, because everybody's buying the shit out of Gbaby, because of the liquidity bonding, that's what dragged BFF that the late past the 8K mark. Maybe it didn't. Maybe there was some other outside forces, and it's likely that there was some other outside forces. But when I saw that, I was like, holy shit, him launching BFF is what dragged it up past the 8K mark. Have a look at that, man. Have a look at this pump all the way up to here to the 28th of November. So you have this pump here, 21st of November to the 28th of November. Look at BFF. 21st or 20th. I mean, look, 20th of November, 21st, let's say the 20th of November here. Flat, 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 pump. 20th of November up until started to go down on the 29th. 20th of November started to go, topped on the 29th. I didn't know this until I saw this. So this move here is the same move that Gbaby had. So all that it meant was Maria launched this thing And it's like, okay, buy this thing that's 10 cents. And then we bought this thing and it pumped. It pumped BFF that the late up to 20K. I had no idea. And again, could be completely wrong. But the fact that the way that I'm seeing with my LAU tokens and the liquidity bonding and Hart's Law, I'm like, holy shit. We think that it was us that, in a way it was, because we ended up buying the Gbaby, but it was Maria that helped us get it past the 8K mark with the ratios. And again, go to the very start of Maria's talk in Amsterdam. Everybody says Atropa as like the poisonous plant. But Maddie talks about it like Atropos, the goddess of fate, one of the three sisters of fate in Greek mythology. And that's also how Maria talks about it. So Maddie mentions it like that because he said he had a conversation with Maria, and that's what it actually means. So all of this stuff is like fate is destiny. It's predetermined. It's always going to be that way. So, so for me, it's just like more evidence that I'm in the right ecosystem, and I don't really care about the ebbs and flows. I couldn't give a shit. I couldn't give a shit when things go down. I lick my lips when things go down, because then, I mean, if I've got some dry powder, which for the most part I don't, but if I do, then I can buy, and then I can also get my friends in. But I couldn't believe that. And again, if you have a look at these movements, look at these movements, man. Look at these movements. Look at the similarities in these movements. Let me go like this. So they move at different, like, they move at like different rates, but essentially up. So we got up on Gbaby, up on BFF that the late, and then down with Gbaby, and then up with BFF that the late, and then down with BFF that the late, and then Gbaby goes up, and then this also. Can you see that? And then this is going down, and then BFF goes down. But the multiplier, look at this multiplier. So Gbaby, so this is why it's a multiplier. It's a derivative. So Gbaby to the top from the bottom. I'll do this properly so we can actually get the full. What did we say? We said the 20th. Let's go to the very top here. So that's a 56x. So 55,525 is a 56x. So basically, I just take the first two digits and add a 1, because that's what it means. So when it's a 100%, it's a double. So it doubled in price. It's a 2x. When it's a 300%, when it's a 200%. Wait, what? No, when it's a 100%, it's a 2x. When it's a 300%, sorry, my mistake. When it's a 100%, it's a 2x. When it's a 200%, it's a 3x, so on and so forth. So when it's a 5500x, it's a 56x. So that did a 56x from this bottom on the 20th to the top 13th of December. So now let's have a look at BFF that the late. So from the 20th, which was here, there's a 20th here to, I mean, it didn't even, that's a 3x. So that's what makes it a multiplier. Because basically, when he bonded it, one BFF equaled 5,000. So it's like cutting up that BFF into 5,000 parts. So any one of those individual parts, because of the liquidity, because of the ratio, because of the percentages, the way that it moves, you're getting more bang for your buck. So yeah, can Gbaby get up to the 14,000? I have no idea. And as a matter of fact, there's almost a part of me that thinks that Maria is just kind of half trolling. But I also actually, I'll take that back. It's not that the 14,800 is the target. It's really just to emphasize the fact that one BFF was equal to 5,000 of those tokens. So at the start, they had that value, but then he dumped the shit out of it. And so I don't think that 14,000 is the top. I mean, I honestly think it can really keep going further. But Gbaby in the know is doing amazing things. It's doing amazing things. So yeah, this was something that I really saw for the first time, this concept of the multiplier, and I was extremely happy about that. I was actually over the moon. So those are the things that I love. Those are the things that I love learning about. Not like, oh, this token went up and it did a whatever X. It's like, who cares, man? There's like hundreds of these things. Like, it's this system that I'm trying to learn about. But It seems like there's a few people that know it. If I had I wish I had an economics degree. I reckon I'd be all over this. I mean, I'm pretty sure Ben Popfin's got some sort of financial degree, and he's all over it. So yeah. So then this is the liquidity pools with Gbaby. I mean, 2.8 million. That's phenomenal in such a very, very short period of time. And so it's bonded fourth with BFF. So as BFF moves up and down, this is also going to move up and down with it. And so these are the things that we really have to start to wrap our head around for the LAU tokens. It's not just about, and it's my fault. It's my fault. I was too excited to share, showing the numbers and, oh, look at this thing that's going up every day. And all I have to do is like buy and sell and it's going up, and really kind of overhyping it. And somebody got burnt. So it was really, it didn't make me happy actually at all, even in the slightest. So Barley, what pumped today? If we're talking about Teddy Jr. Yeah, look, nothing against Teddy Jr., but I don't have the contract address and I can't be bothered looking it up. That's not what this stream was about. So, and again, when people ask me these things, like, you guys can shoot whatever the hell you want, but I mean, yeah, then I'm just at the whim of like, everybody's going to come in here and like talk about, and really all it's about is like, I mean, what is there about Teddy Jr.? What is it? Is there anything special about it? Or is it just that I'm going to show this thing with a number that goes up? Nothing wrong with that. That's great. I wish it all the success. I hope it does 10,000x. I hope you guys get Lambos and mansions out of it. But yeah, I don't know what it is. So, but Teddy Bear is obviously like, and again, like Teddy Bear is an interest to me because it's backed by the Atropa ecosystem. That's what makes it interesting. What it's backed by is what makes it interesting, not the token itself. That was a craft beer to solve the mystery. It was a craft beer. Matty, we've got to have a beer together, bro. If you're a craft beer dude, like we're like brothers from another mother, man. I'm just like, lagers suck. I'm all about the craft beers. So you and me, man, we're brothers, man. Bro, Hodex is what Maria called. Ah, okay. We call it Hox, but twice now Maria has referred to it as Hodex. So what were you asking me about before? So about the Hodex. Somebody asked me about this earlier about the Hodex or the we're gonna call it Hotex then. I also like Hotex. Yeah, I mean, look, Maria's cooking. Maria's really cooking with that, by the way. So I know that Maria did another bonding with Mufti. So Maria's bonded it with Mufti, bonded it with this upside down R, bonded it with Poppy. So actually Maria's really been cooking a lot with this lately. So maybe 5555 with Poppy, 5555 with Token. See, what the fuck, man? What? Dude, like, it's Atropos. It's fated. This is also why, like, it doesn't matter what anybody says. It doesn't matter what anybody says. Like, this is the winning ecosystem on Pulsechain. This is the winning ecosystem on Pulsechain. It's like Maria was doing this already on... Maria was testing all of this on the testnet, Pulsechain testnet. And now it's just like, I don't see it failing. Like even with one of the talks with Matty, he was just like, it can't fail. It can't fail. It's impossible for it to fail. And the more that I look into it, the more that I dig into it, I'm trying to find the flaws in it. I'm trying to find the weak points and the failure points. And it just doesn't seem like it can fail. It just doesn't seem like it. It seems like it's going to be like a more of an elite system in a bear market trend. And just imagine, man, that the whole Atropa ecosystem doesn't have, if the Atropa ecosystem doesn't have the kind of, like when we hit the bull market, the macro market bull cycle top, and everything dips 90%, Hex dips 90%, Bitcoin dips whatever, 50%. It's different with Bitcoin because it's been around for so long and there's so much liquidity in there. But if the Atropa ecosystem doesn't dip like 99%, like what Hex did, it really validates it as like an epic system. As a matter of fact, if the Atropa ecosystem doesn't create a lower low and it ends up just doing what it's been doing for this whole time, and it just creates like an and it just ends up creating like a higher low. It's just like, I mean, I have no idea what's going to happen in this bull market. Let me just move this out of the way. Where is it here? No idea. My prediction is basically somewhere within the next 6 to 9 months. That's just my prediction. I think there's going to be a lot of front running. So let's just say, what was Maria's target? Oops. I mean, oh no, not down, not down. You're a dick, Steve. No. But I think it's going to go down. I mean, I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm right, actually. But yeah, whatever. 750, whatever. Let me just. Here we go. 750. There we go. So let's say it does something like this. Now, that's our bull market top. That's his prediction for the bull market, or like as high as it gets. When he says 750 is a target, I feel like maybe that's the target for the end of this bull market. So now, if this ends up dipping here, just hypothetically, I mean, that's still a 90% dip, isn't it? So maybe it still does have a 90% dip, but the fact that it's still, for the most part, up and to the right. I mean, if you look at, if you end up looking at, and this is just like me just kind of, what would you call this? Like mental masturbation. What is this when we kind of look at these numbers and you just kind of get a high off the dopamine, but it's still going to be more up and to the right, even though it drops 90%. So it could still have a 90% drop, but you have a 90% drop and it still ends up being worth like 70. Oh, I saw a 7.7 there for a split second. You know what I mean? So how can you be dissatisfied with that? If you buy it now, how can you be dissatisfied with that? You can't. You might get that 90% dip, but it's still up and to the right due to the mathematics of the ecosystem, which is what makes it so goated. So, all right. I actually want to have a look at the, I mean, with this 555, so it's just like, what a G. Oh, Maria. It's okay, no problem. But I'm sorry, bot on YouTube. Yeah, I hope that wasn't like, it's, yeah. I honestly hope Teddy Bear does. If you got a contract address for it, bro, you can paste it in there and I'll have a quick look at it. But yeah, I just don't know. I don't want to look it up. So, all right, let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at this now. So 501, so that's Maria. Let's get this contract address. Let's just have a look at this. But again, it's like now it's starting to get into the part of the Atropa ecosystem where it's getting hard to understand what's going on, because I mean, for a start, the fact that the way that he bond 33K volume, nice. 300 liquidity, 3.1 million, 3.3. So the fact that he heavily liquidity bonded this with Hex, for me, this is Ethereum Hex. It was like, okay, my faith in Ethereum Hex just basically just went through the roof. Because if Maria's creating all these charts, doing all this magic with liquidity and ratios, like, I mean, to me, this is magic. What I just showed with BFF and Gbaby, that's magic. That's magic. The 8K mark, we think that we did it, which, again, in a way that we did, but it's almost like Maria really like drew us into this, to buy into this, to push BFF that the load past the 8K. And that's why Gbaby is such a big part of, like, we got BFF that the load and Gbaby that the Gwat. And this, one of our boys in the LAU, he's got G Dude, which is a derivative of Gbaby. So we got BFF that the light, Gbaby that the Gwat, and then G Dude that the. What's the first thing that pops into your mind? Put it in the chat. But I know what the first thing that pops into my mind, and I was just like, not that there's anything wrong with it. Not that there's anything wrong with it. If you've seen Seinfeld. So if you got G Dude, just I'd love to know what's the first thing. So BFF that the light, Gbaby that the Gwat, G Dude that the. Oh shit! All right, so Hex. So HotX, again, for me now, it's getting into this realm of the Atropa ecosystem where even looking at the chart and looking at this thing where it's like, okay, there's a token to buy and I'm going to hold this token. It's almost like that's not the way to look at it anymore. This one here. So this is, so if you go to Atropa now, so this mint website, which I've pasted in above in the description so you can scroll up to find it. Atropa, and then there's all these things, right? So for example, this is Teddy Bear 9 here. So this is like minting. So if you want to mint, you got to work this shit out. But Not Helios has basically made this website where you can interact with this website, and the website just, you don't need to interact with the code. I mean, you're interacting with the code, but you don't need to figure out the code because it's all here on the website. And so Teddy Bear 9, how to mint one of these Teddy Bear 9s, which is going to be potentially a big part of the Dysnomia game, or it's going to have like this big power. He's spoken about it in the chat logs, and so if you want to know about this, I would recommend going back into the chat logs and having a look at this. But to get one of these, whoa, wow, let me do the maths on this actually. That was in the negatives the other day. That was in the negatives. So I'll take that first number and then I just divide it by that number. So it's like a 6% gain. You're getting plus 6%, I mean, which is not bad. But if you have these, which is very difficult to have, because basically to get all of this, it's going to cost you 239,000 to get all of that. I mean, the teddy bear, you need like however many that is, like in the maybe 1.1 billion. One of these, very expensive. 9 of these, they're all expensive, right? So you need all of them to mint one teddy bear 9. So now there is all of these things which are bonded 1-to-1 with Treasury bill. So remember, this is some kind of financial system. That's what Maria came out and said at the very start a year ago, which is what attracted me to it. It's a decentralized financial system. So even today I onboarded someone into Pulsechain, and I was explaining to them about what we're actually building here, or not what I'm not building it, but what Maria's building here, or what's happening on Pulsechain, I said, is we're actually creating a decentralized financial system. So at the minute, everything in cryptocurrency is basically like we build up a community, who can shout the loudest, and we put all our gold in this pot, and then who can take it out first. That's what crypto is. You can dress it up however the fuck you want it, but that's exactly what cryptocurrency is. You're throwing your money in a pot and somebody's taking it all out. That's what cryptocurrency is. Bitcoin, except Bitcoin's got dudes with suits and ties on Wall Street thinking they're clever. Michael Saylor buying Bitcoin 12 years too late thinking he's a genius. You got all these people shilling Ethereum, bankless shilling Ethereum. It's all the same game. There is innovation there. I'm not refuting the innovation because there's like so much beauty to that. But Pulsechain, it's like perfecting all these concepts. It's like, how do you say it? What's a way of? I keep trying to think of like some kind of analogy, but maybe if I think about like what's his name, Thomas Edison with electricity, the light bulb. There was all sorts of dudes, Faraday, Nikola Tesla. They're all mucking around with electricity, and it's like this use case. So Nikola Tesla's like, you know, the AC DC thing going on. Faraday's mucking around like, okay, what's this thing? There's this thing called electricity, but we don't know. Like, okay, yeah, great. It's like I can put these two things together and it's making a spark, but who cares? It's not doing anything, right? It's not changing society. And then Thomas Edison comes along and says, I just made a light bulb, and it revolutionized everything. It revolutionized all of society. We were able to harness the power of electricity. That's how I feel about Pulsechain. That's how I feel about the Atropa ecosystem. There's all these things in DeFi that we call DeFi, but there's no real kind of use to it yet. It's just really just pump and dump. And you can dress up the pump and dump in many different ways. Like I showed before with 7G and Hex. It's the same thing. So you got the Hex maxis who are talking about Hexes like this. I mean, Hex is... It's not to undermine the concept of T-shares and the concept of Hex, because I love Hex. But in the end, it's essentially just a pump and dump dressed up with utility. It's the same bloody thing as 7G. Same thing, different time scale, exactly the same thing. But the Atropa ecosystem is a system that's basically replicating all the instruments of a financial system and creating that on here. So now we have this kind of system of one-to-one bonding where you can mint one-to-one. So it's like creating this. I mean, the Fed Reserve Te, he's creating like the concept of a Federal Reserve on the blockchain. So really think about what that means. Really think about what that means if he's actually done it. If he's actually done this where he's created a Federal Reserve, really think about what that means. What that means for the US dollar. Really think about what that means to the power dynamics that exist in the world. Because it turns everything upside down. It makes cryptocurrency into something that is totally revolutionary now. We're not just talking about this thing and this DeFi thing and it's going to change the world, but in actuality, it hasn't really changed the world. It's just a way of people making more money at a faster rate. But now we've made this thing where the light bulb has been invented now. We've actually been able to now harness, we've taken all these parts of what it is and we've created this system, which is called the Atropa ecosystem. And so, yeah, Hex is now part of that. So where's Hex in here? So, well, Hex is not in here, but Hex is with this symbol. So Hex has been bonded heavily to eHex. And as soon as I saw that, I'm just like, I went on Twitter. I was like, someone take me for this bet on eHex. Because, yeah, I mean, we have to be really flexible to the market. So if we stay fixed to, I mean, the dudes who were telling us that pHex is the buy and eHex is dead, I'm with Maria. I never saw Richard say that. Richard just commented on the state of the market. And it's exactly the same as what I did with the pDAI stuff. I commented on the state of the chart and everybody lost their shit because I'm just objectively observing things as they are. I'm not controlling the market. I'm not doing anything with the market. I'm just telling it how I see it. I go outside and I say, oh, the tree is green, and somebody who's colorblind and sees it as purple, they're not going to lose their shit at me. They're just seeing it differently. I'm just telling you what I see. It's the same thing with this now. So look at that, man. The heaviest bonding is with Ethereum Hex with V1, Ethereum Hex with V2. So I'm just like, I got no... This engine is going to suck up all the Ethereum Hex. So let people dump it. Let them keep dumping it because it's going to keep filling up this ecosystem, which in some way, which I haven't worked out yet, and I don't have the answers to, and I'm not a financial advisor and all that kind of jizz jazz. But all I'm seeing here is my mind is seeing this thing that just sucks up all the liquidity for eHex and puts it into this system. And then this system is going to be like a feedback loop, which is going to go back into pumping up eHex. That's what I'm seeing. That's also why I went out and I wanted to like put the bet out with eHex to pHex because I believe that the parity will come. So FBG. What? What kind of token is that? That's awesome. I mean, this is, oh, damn it. I mean, this is the great thing about crypto, right? I mean, there's just so much crap and it's fun. It's fun. It's totally fun. And I have no issue with it. And again, probably the person who mentioned, I'm really sorry, bot in YouTube. I'm really sorry for Teddy Bear Jr. I have no issues with it, just for the record. And again, I wish you all the best. But it's just that there'll be so many other channels that are talking about these things, and I just don't want this channel to be one of them because it's not that I'm not interested in it. It's just that I'm more interested in the Atropa ecosystem, and I'm staying up so late to figure this stuff out. Like it's my own fault. I'm choosing to do it. I have nobody else to blame but myself. But it's just like there's so many ways. Hey, Harambe, there's so many ways you can go. I don't know where this FBG is, man, but yeah, that's awesome. So. What's going on, Mr. Rock Jockey? I hope things are getting more and more clearer for you, man. Atropine cures nerve gas. Interesting. Thank you, Moonbot. Good work. I think I maybe saw that comment when I was talking about the BFF and the multiplier. So I believe Maria mentioned during the Zurich meetup that Atropa should technically slow down after DAI reaches the peg. It makes sense, right? I would agree with that. It totally makes sense, because the thing that's actually pumping Atropa for the vast majority, if you're just in the Telegram groups, you see the buy bots. A lot of the buyers are going into DAI, but because they're so heavily liquidity bonded, it's also dragging up the Atropa value with it. So when DAI hits $1, then Atropa, the buy pressure that was going in Atropa, which was pumping into DAI, which was pumping Atropa up, is going to stop, right? So unless people actually put buy pressure on Atropa, then it's not going to move up as fast. So yeah, it makes sense that it would slow down. Actually, that's a great comment. Thanks, Shio. The bots on that Timo DAI and Timo USDC completely even out the price between the two LPs. Oh, nice, man. Yeah, that was also why I showed the 1-to-1. And I mean, I could also show that little chat as well. Even maybe not in this one. Oh, I could do it in this one if you don't mind. But I'll end up doing it at some other point anyway, with another YouTube video. So. Yes, mate. Bala's still in Australia for a few more weeks. Do Maria say about 70,000% increase for Gbaby from one of Zach's posts on X? Can't remember exactly. Yeah. So of course. So yeah, that's where, I mean, if we look at 70,000, if we go up to here, is that 70,000? Or maybe, I mean, that's the 70,000 there, right? So maybe wherever Zach's post was, maybe it was like here that Zach did the post. So yeah, probably at that particular time, Maria was saying, yeah, it can do. Oh, shout out to you, Freedom777. Maybe it can do that, and why not? I wouldn't be surprised. So, but I almost feel like Maria was saying, because Maria says a lot of shit where it's just like, I don't know if he's, yeah. I don't know if he's saying this to like, it's like an actual fact, or if it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know with Maria. I just don't know. I don't know. I can't understand him. So, and I'm trying. I'm desperately trying. Desperately trying. But everything that he says is like this big mystery. Percentage or X's, can't remember, but it was on Zach's post. Probably would have been percentages. 70,000 X is a lot. I mean, 70,000 X is like, I mean, this is what is this? Well, this is a 78 X. So 70,000 X is huge. So that would have to get up to like, yeah, something ridiculous. So we're getting up to like, whatever, like obscene numbers. So I don't think it was 70,000 X. Definitely will be a top performer on Pulse, hands down. I agree. I really agree. And especially if you got in at the bottom. And for me, again, I was providing liquidity. That's what I was doing. So when people sell, it comes into my liquidity pool. But sadly, man, I used to be up there. I used to be in like up here, but now I'm all the way down here. So because now other people have just started, I mean, Maria's done this, but basically like, G dude. Did we get any comments of what G dude that the what? Come on. BFF that the light. Gbaby that the Gwat. G dude that the. Put it in the comments. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? I just want to see. So yeah, G dude. That's up there. And then the rest, I mean, this is another LAU here, but then the rest of these, majority of these are Atropa tokens, except for, I mean, it's not an Atropa token, nor is that. He stated Atropa $100 to 777. I'm not sure what that means. He's stated Atropa $100 to 777. Die down or die up. pDAI peg scene. I agree. This is the thing, but people are really like their emotions are so tied to like the ups and the downs. Like it's not concerning, but if you died tomorrow with nothing, you're still dead. If you died tomorrow and pDAI was $1, you're still dead. The money's nothing, man. The money's nothing. Like, who really cares? Like, we're so concerned about money, but who really cares? It's like, what are you going to do in this life? That's the main thing, right? And yeah, that's what it is for me anyway. So I'm glad you like that. You need some serious cash to get one. The Treasury stabilizer. Hex is a Treasury stabilizer. So all of those things here, they're like a Treasury stabilizer. That's why when I did the Treasury bill to $1, and that was the Don, man. The Don has been telling me Treasury bill to $1 for like such a long time. The Don is all over it. So I onboard. Hey, nice, man. Nice. Yeah, nice. I'm slowly onboarding people. So Fed and so on are mechanisms to keep Treasury bill at $1. Once it gets, I completely agree. That's what I'm seeing. That's exactly what I'm seeing. It's like this. They're going to be like these mechanisms that are stabilizing it, because you can mint it 1-for-1 with all of these tokens. All of these tokens mint 1-to-1 with Treasury bill. So that's, how many is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's look at Luke, for instance. Recipe with Treasury bill. So no matter what, in the contract, it's hard coded, no matter what, 1,000 Treasury bill always equals 1,000 Luke, which means 1 Treasury bill always equals 1 Luke. And in one of the videos the other day, Maria was talking about a community, like not a community takeover, but seeing if the community can take on Tabor. So if you have a look at Tabor, it's always 1-to-1. All of these are always 1-to-1. So yeah, you look at these, you could mint this and there's a profit there to be made. So if the ratio ever falls out too much, someone's just going to come along and arbitrage it. Someone's going to come along, mint the Tabor and sell it into the Treasury, and it's going to close the gap. So it's always 1-to-1. So then if you have like 7 or 8 other things, if you have 8 other tokens that are 1-to-1 with Treasury bill, then all of those tokens are backed by other liquidity. So let's do Tabor. Let's do Tabor. So Tabor, I'll get the contract address here. But again, everyone's still, myself included, this is not a criticism. We're all looking at the chart like, oh, this thing that's going to pump to like 10,000x, but it's the wrong way to look at it. This is the Atropa ecosystem. It's a system of tokens. It's like this one total system, and it has all these moving parts in it, but it's a total system. It's like the global financial system. There's all these different moving parts within that global financial system, but they're all interrelated. They're all dependent on each other. It's like this body. This body is like indistinguishable from all the different parts of it. This fingernail is also part of this body. This nose is part of this body. It's not separate from it. But yeah, and then if you take that to, I mean, I hate saying this, but if you take that to a spiritual level, then it's the same thing with myself and the rest of the universe. It's just this one indivisible, undivided existence. But humans, we can't see that because we can only see from our own perspective. So I think that I exist separately from the universe, but this is 100% false. So Tabor, 3,000 in liquidity. There's like no liquidity in it. And Maria, in one of the video launches, was talking about, I mean, shit, man, look at this. Who's World? World is smart. World, Stu, good on you, Stu. I love Stu. Stu is a great community member that's really contributing to the building of this. So is there coexistence even in here? No, I haven't done it. I've done it with Luke. I've done it with Luke only. But yeah, Maria was talking about if basically the way that I took it, the way that I understood what he was trying to say was basically for the community to take this on and treat it in the right way. And then he'll also treat the community in the right way. So in the same way that he minted those 7.7 million Treasury bills and started pumping it into like Teddy Bear and the other assets that it's bonded to, I feel like he could probably also do the same here. And you'll probably, if that ends up happening, maybe one day he'll end up pumping the crap out of this. If enough community members are in it, maybe he'll pump the crap out of it. But then the community members will burn and mint. So he might, because it's burning the tokens, right? So it's bloody beautiful, man. It's just, we've won. We've so won. We've so. I wish I could explain this in such a clear way that people could see what I see. But even what I see is still so vague. It's like I don't have the full image in my mind, but I'm desperately trying to share this thing that's in my mind, but I still don't have it. But basically, what ends up happening here? You're inputting Treasury bill, and you're burning Tubor. Sorry, you're burning Treasury bill and you're minting Tubor. So if he mints with Tubor, if he mints, let's say, 1 million, and then he starts pumping Tubor, which means the price of Tubor is going up. So let's say at the moment it's 1-to-1. As a matter of fact, maybe let's just get a chart just to make it. And I showed this the other day. I'll get the Treasury bill I've got. And then what have we got? Tubor. Tubor. And Tubor is a drum. So, and again, I don't fully know. I don't fully know what the play is. But I don't think the play is like buy the token and hold it and wait for it to do a 10,000x. That's not the play. That is not the play. I think the play is the providing of liquidity. All right, so Tubor. So if we go to Tubor, and again, it always shows you index screener to the ratio of the US dollar. Maria the goat, completely agree. And EHEX is part of the reserve through, yeah, man, for sure. Sammy, what's going on, Sammy? I really had you in the back of the mind for this Gbaby That The Gwat. So hopefully it cleared some things up about Gbaby. Okay, so that's to the US dollar. So Treasury bill. So Treasury, I mean, what? So it's 1-to-1 at the minute. And it's probably going to stay always at 1-to-1 because of this function that it can be minted. So in other words, if Maria comes along, so this is Maria. Maria is God mode. Maria is the Federal Reserve. Maria, Maria is the Federal Reserve. Maria is, what's the Federal Reserve do? They basically print money into existence and they just pump the boys' bags. So all the boys, all the things that they sue everybody else for, they just do it themselves. We all know about Nancy Pelosi. We all know that Congress, basically, like, they're all just a bunch of like billionaires because they're part of the boys. You tell your boys when you know some facts. When you know something, you go and tell the boys. That's what happens, right? You go and tell the boys, or in this case, Sammy, she tells the boys, or she tells the girls. We tell the girls too, right? When you know something and you want to lift up the boys, you go and tell the boys, hey, I've got this alpha. I've heard this thing. I've seen this thing. I don't know. Pfizer's going to pump. They're gonna do this thing. They're gonna release this COVID thing, and it's gonna spread around the world. So like, buy Pfizer. Hint, hint. And then so who wins off Pfizer? All the boys. And who has the information? The insiders. It's all just insiders. But if you and I do that, we get sued and we go to prison and we get ostracized by society. But it's exactly what they're doing. So what they're doing, they just print the money, pumping the boys' bags, the stock markets. So now Maria's doing that. Maria is basically like, that function now. Maria with Treasury bill can basically mint all these tokens into existence. Let's say like 1 million Treasury bill. So then what happens? So Maria mints 1 million Treasury bill and then just one day decides, you know what? I'm going to fatten up the liquidity in here. So mints out 1 million Treasury bill. Remember, there's 8 contract addresses that will burn the Treasury bill 1 for 1 with these tokens. So Maria then pumps, or sells rather, basically sells the Treasury bill into these tokens. So if there's some kind of like discrepancy in whatever the systems are, so for Hex or whatever, so what have we got in here? Let's say, where's Tubor? Let me bring up Tubor. What's it heavily bonded to? Gockle Dam. heavily bonded with Fed, Mufti. Let's say Gokuldam. Gokuldam, I mean, yeah, the supplies are so low, man. Honestly, like, yeah, I guess I don't have any of these positions, but I would, yeah, I mean, this is me saying this is what Maria said, and I would follow. I would follow. I should be doing this as well. So this is if I should be doing this with my LAU, to be honest. But so basically, Maria comes along, prints $1 million out of existence, mins a million teddy bear treasury bill, and then starts pumping Tubor with it. So what does that mean? The price of Tubor goes up because the price of treasury bills going down. So then the ratio starts to go, how much is he going to pump it? Who knows? It's probably not going to last, right? So he starts pumping it. Tubor, the value of Tubor is going up and up and up against the value of treasury bill. So then what happens? The people who've been paying attention will interact with this contract. They're going to swap, or maybe they'll buy a treasury bill. So they'll buy, like, he's minted $1 million. They'll buy, I don't know, 10,000 treasury bill from somewhere. Doesn't matter how expensive it is, and they're going to swap. They're gonna buy a treasury bill. Then they're going to burn, say, 10,000 treasury bill. They're going to burn it for 10,000 Tubor, and then they're going to sell the Tubor because let's just say here it goes up 2 to 1. So they've burnt treasury bill, minted Tubor, which is 1 to 1. They basically doubled their stack if it goes 2 to 1. So then all they have to do is get that now they have that Tubor, which they got 1 for 1. They start selling it down, and then it's going to bring it down to here. So it's going to do this. So this is how Maria is going to equalize and keep the system in an equilibrium. So there's 8 different tokens that are 1 to 1 minted with treasury bill. 8 different tokens which are bonded with different parts of the Atropa ecosystem. So as soon as there's discrepancies within the Atropa ecosystem, or inconsistencies, or whatever that he thinks this needs to get adjusted or fixed, or maybe, like I said, I don't know, Gokuldam, something's going wrong with Gokuldam, so we need to fix that up. So how am I going to fix that up? Instead of me buying it, I'm going to reward the people, and I'm going to just mint these tokens, pump this up, and whoever's paying attention is going to do this. And then as that happens, it's going to fill all the liquidity providers' bags up. Because I mean, if it's treasury bill into Tubor, the liquidity providers from treasury bill to Tubor just clean up. Because if he's pumping that up and then it gets sold back down, you clean up, right? Because of all that volume that goes through there. So at the moment, this is treasury bill to Tubor, 2.1k market cap, 126 volume, 952 liquidity. So you go along and you add $1,000 of liquidity. You own 50% of this pool. So that means all the volume that flows into there, 50% of that flows into your pool. And so Maria said something along the lines of this being like something that the community, if the community ends up like owning this or something, that he'll take interest in it. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. So again, not financial advice. I'm just trying to share with you the things that I've seen and the things that I've noted. So Steve is the what? Steve is the silence that's in the universe. I like that. One behind pDAI. Steve is the one behind pDAI. I think you're right. We might be witnessing the new stable standard. Then comes the Richard Hart wallet and bank on off ramp. So Steve the market maker. Oh shit. Yeah, boys. You didn't know. I got billions, boys. I'm the one that's shifting the markets here. I'm the benevolent gold whale. That's me. I'm the gold whale. Now you guys know. I really wish. What's good, Clintrons? I think I don't really have much more to say. I'm just going to go through these comments and I'm going to wrap it up. I will buy the purple tree, but only because it's purple. It's the real. Yes. Talking about the trees before. So becomes new territory. Gbaby is the cutest baby in crypto. Gbaby That The Gwat. Has anyone given me what they thought? So BFF That The Light. Gbaby That The Gwat. G-Dude That The. What's this? $0.2 to $14. Is that? I'm not sure what that was. I'm a bit behind on the comments here, so haven't seen Seinfeld. Oh man, you haven't seen Seinfeld, bro. So when you mint your treasury bill and you get the other free coins, do you still get to no? So you're burning the treasury bill to mint the other token. So this is why it's a beautiful. Again, I don't fully understand it. But just there's I'm kind of looking at the details, and then it fits into this macro understanding. So basically like he'll mint tokens in circulation. So just like the Federal Reserve. So this is what shit. It's the most basic inflation or deflate. Like inflation's when you're basically like making more supply, which is devaluing the dollar. So that's what they're doing with the US dollars at the moment. So the more that's in, yeah, that's right. So inflation. So yeah, I mean that was the collapse of the Soviet Union because they just kept inflating the circulation. So basically there'd be like people with wheelbarrows of money to buy a loaf of bread. So before maybe it was like $3, and I don't know, Sergei Kopylov would go to the bakery and be able to buy a loaf of bread with 3 Soviet, whatever the Soviet currency is. But then they keep printing the money, keep printing. And now you need a whole wheelbarrow, and then the economy collapses and it fails. So we're seeing the same thing with the US dollar. It's failed. It's a dead system. So basically it's being propped up by dead money. So we have the whole like S&P 500 is propped up by dead money. So they just keep printing money, and it's a big problem. So Raoul Pal talks about this massive amounts of debt that can never be paid off. We've also got this debt ceiling, which keeps going up. It's going to keep going up. It's gone up to like, I don't know, 30-something trillion. It's going to keep going up. There's no answer to it. It's impossible. You can't fix it. It's fucked. It's ruined. Like the system doesn't work. So it's going to keep going up. There is no answer to it within the current system. So they keep printing the money, and maybe in bits and parts that kind of burn it here and there, but not to this degree. So what he's doing is he'll mint, in other words, print treasury bills. So he'll mint, in other words, 1 million treasury bill, pump tabor, but then other people are going to look at that opportunity. Then they're going to buy a treasury bill. They're going to burn that treasury bill and then buy tabor. So it's basically going to like instead of the US dollar just going up and like the US dollar circulation going up and up and up, what's actually happening with this is the treasury bill is going to go up and up and up, but then it's going to get burnt to come back down. It's going to have like an equilibrium. But as that's happening, these other circulating suppliers with these other 8 tokens are gradually also, or rather, these other 8 tokens are going to, I'll get a different color. Yeah, so they're just gradually over time going to go like this. Whereas treasury bills just going to keep, it's going to have these little pump and equilibrium cycles, pump and equilibrium, and then all these other 8 tokens are going to keep going up. This makes me sound like I know what I'm talking about. This makes me sound like I'm some sort of economist, but I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So I'm just telling you what I see. But this is what it is. So you multiply this by 8 tokens, and then what does that happen? What this means is the people who have the tabor, or the people who have the LAU or the Fed, their bags are getting pumped. So all this liquidity is flowing out into all these other little parts of the ecosystem. So it's pumping the boys' bags, but the boys and the gals, in your case again, Sammy, I keep saying the boys, they're getting their bags filled. Their LPs are getting filled. And they're getting rewarded for basically like providing liquidity in the system. And the way that I see this is how we win. Because this is God mode. This is God mode. I don't fully understand it, but I'm looking at this going, this is better than the Federal Reserve systems. This is much better. It has more moving parts that can stabilize it. And it's not at the behest. It's not at the mercy of needing like economic growth, which is just like how much economic growth can you have, bro? It's like, you know, we can't just keep making shit. Like, oh, buy this thing. I made this thing and it's so cool, but it's not. It's just junk shit. And the world's full of junk shit. And like, how much junk shit can you possibly have in the world? There's only so much junk shit you can have in the world. And now people are becoming more minimal. They don't want junk shit because it's junk shit. So that's what makes the economy pump, like producing goods. But it's like, well, goods are useless, right? Up to a certain point. There's certain things which have a certain purpose. You got your phone. I got a pen. I'm always going to need a pen. I need to write. But at the end of the day, like, what what more do you need? Like, kids have got like billions of toys. It's like, do they really need them? No. You give them you give them a toy for Christmas. They'll play with it for half an hour, and then it just goes back into the pile with all the other toys, and they'll never play with it again. Like, look, that's capitalism, just goods and services. It's just this gigantic Ponzi scheme that they're trying to prop up with like goods. But that's why it's failed. That's why it hasn't failed. I shouldn't say that. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing that's got us to where we are now. But now it's failing. Now it's failing because it's reaching its limit, because it relies on continual growth. It relies on endless growth. And so that's why it fails. So when you have something, when you basically this concept here, this concept in some way is applied in a linear way to the global system. And I'm not a macroeconomist. I'm nothing like this. And I could be completely wrong. And someone who's an economist will come in here and say, you're an idiot, Steve. And fine, I'm an idiot. No problem. But I'm looking at this, seeing this concept applied to 8 different tokens, which are also applied to all these other different tokens. And I'm seeing like how some of these tokens within the Atropa system are like up against each other. Some are down against each other. Some are sideways against each other. So it's a mathematical harmony. It's a mathematical harmony. So it's not at the behest of what the world, like, it's not at the behest of production. This is why I think Maria was also talking about, I'm interested in the very early days of the Atropa chat log, when I was really nerding it out. Maria was talking about like, I'm interested in creating like a production quality asset or something along these lines. And I was like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about? I had no idea. And I think I wonder if that's what he's talking about. Like, if these tokens replicate what production is doing in an economy, if they can replicate what production is doing in an economy across a multitude of different scales, then we've won. It's game over. And this is also why it's just like, if this continues to grow, we have, this is actually truly decentralized finance, and we're dominating. Like, Solana are going to get Solana will be left in the dust. Arbitrum will be left in the dust. Kraptos will be left in the dust. Ethereum will be left in the dust. Polygon will be left in the dust. I don't know. You name it, they're left in the dust. Unless they can adapt to a system like this, they're left in the dust, because they're just glorified pump and dumps. That's all that they are. Even Bitcoin, it's just a glorified pump and dump. You can call it whatever you want. It's now become a glorified pump and dump. Hey, Muddy! The boys! Snip chair, shout your boy out. It's my birthday, Muddy. I didn't know you were watching, Mud Dog. Good on you, Muddy. So everybody, Muddy, one day, Muddy, the big dog. Muddy, it's his birthday, so he's having a chop with the boys. He's having a chop with the boys on his new couch. Thank God for that new couch. Oh my God, Muddy's the couch at Muddy's house. It was just like, bro. Oh boy, it was like the worst couch. It was just like a 3-seater, but it was like this. Not one of the seats you could sit straight, because there was it was just collapsing in the middle. It was like a black hole. But thank God he's got a new couch, so all the boys will be at Muddy's house on the new couch for his birthday. So happy birthday, Muddy. Love you, bro. Oh, Bard, what's going on? Do you think Maria made the liquidity pool between Treasury and Teddy so large so that Treasury bill price would run up at the same pace as Teddy bill? That's a great comment. That's a great comment, Bud. And I would probably agree with that. I would probably definitely agree with that. So, I mean, it's the same dynamic. It's exactly the same dynamic as, I mean, you know, like if Maria's target is $1, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get to $1. But if Maria's target's $1 and Atropos, which is the goddess of fate, and he's talking about this, one of the very first sentences he said in Amsterdam for the Pulsechain tour was, it's like a fated system. He used something along those lines. So yeah, you look at pDAI, you look at Atropa, they're 30% is bonded in liquidity, so they're just moving together. So I'm actually going to look at that. I'm going to look at that right now. That's a great comment. Thank you, bud. A lot of people have been asking about you, bud. I hope you don't mind. I've been sharing out your Twitter handle. All right, what am I looking for? Treasury bill. So let's go to Tabor. Oh, here we go. We had Tabor, Treasury bill. This is so much fun, man. This is so much fun interacting with all of you. Honestly, like even before I do these videos, I'm just like, what am I going to talk about tonight? And I try and get some topics to talk about. Already it's like 2 hours because it's just so much fun. And I ended up thinking that he ended up converting this to 501 wallet. So, but yeah, when people comment, it triggers things in my mind, and it's this beautiful interactive thing. I think also maybe I need to like leave the like the join so people can actually join. Actually, I wonder if I can do that. Share the invite. I don't know if I can now because I'm actually in the stream already, but I'm going to do that from now on. I'm just going to leave the invite there so anyone can just join. I'm going to leave it in the description. I thought about it. I was like, oh, do I want to do this? Because of, what's it called? Because I think about, like I like the fact that the Atropa movement has that uniqueness to it, the Atropa movement episodes, but I also wonder, it's like, man, do people really want to listen to me talk for like 2 hours, 3 hours? This is also supposed to be a short episode, but when you're going down the rabbit hole and you're just seeing things as you go, I mean, when I'm working at Gbaby, the multiplier, and I'm even now, like as I'm drawing these things on the screen, I'm just like, holy shit, this is what he's doing. This is what he's doing. Like it just gets clearer and clearer in my mind. All right, what do we got here? All right, so I'm going to put this ratio to that. Let's have a look. So that's teddy bear to treasury bill. What I'll do is I'll do treasury bill. Also, I'm going to do teddy bear to. I mean, yeah, it should never really do it to the US dollar, but I think in this instance it's probably okay, just to see like the general trajectory of it. But yeah, bud, great comment. I think you're right. And then while I'm doing that as well, while this is all loading, so I just want to see. That's what I was doing. So holders. So what did we have here? So treasury bill. So teddy bear, I would say this is going to be very significant here because that's 17 million, 17.8 million. So this is going to be very significant, whatever this chart is. And I think maybe I've even shown this chart before, but that's going to be something very significant. And then we have the upside down R, which is one of the tokens for teddy bear 9, and then 7 million. So I think this is probably more of a significant one here. But let's see the percentages of the teddy bear. So teddy bear, okay, so yeah, 9% of the supply with teddy bear. So yeah, it's probably going to help definitely bring it up for sure. But what's going on with this one? So this is, yeah, treasury bill to this one. Look at that, bro. I showed this the other day. Look at that. You won't see that on Deck Screener. You won't see it like that on Deck Screener. As a matter of fact, this is why Gecko Terminal is fast becoming like the goated. Let's have a look at this on Dex Terminal. Deck Screener. I don't even know what that token means, man. Some sort of language. Is that Chinese? Does anyone know? No disrespect to Chinese. I don't even know if I should be calling it Chinese. I mean, look at that. That's shit. It's saying it's got 273 volume. 273 volume, $1 sell. So it's not reading anything. It's not reading like anything. So it's inaccurate. And then if you compare it to Treasury bill, what kind of story is that telling you? Even looking at the daily, it's like, it's telling you nothing. It's like, oh, okay. But then when you look at it on this, holy shit, it tells a completely different story. Maybe actually, is that the same? This one's got Treasury bill first to that. Let me just invert that. But I think it's still going to be the same. It just doesn't show all the volume for some reason. So if I invert the pair, yeah, same thing. It doesn't tell you anything, right? And if you're looking at this and you're trying to understand the Atropa ecosystem, but when I started to use Gecko Terminal and I started to see shit like this, I was like, man, like again, waves and frequencies. And I was talking about this on a quantum perspective the other day and talking about like energetic confinements. This is moving within a ratio of, 15%. I just sound like the biggest nerd virgin. It's like Saturday night, 11:45, talking about like quantum confinement, energetic confinement. I haven't touched a woman in so long. So it's moving in a very, very like tight range, 20%. But look at the story that tells compared to, I mean, that's a 4-hour chart, but it's the same thing, even on a 4-hour chart. That's a 4-hour chart too, completely different story, right? So the volume as well is very different. The story of the volume. This is, damn it. I got made a fool. All right, so the volume's the same. So the volume's basically the same. So it's like showing double the volume, but it's the way that it shows the ratio that had me hooked. As soon as I saw that, I was like, wow, that's something else. That tells a completely different story. So yeah. Then I feel if I wanted to go down this rabbit hole and how is this going to pump, I'd then start to look down this ecosystem. I'd then go down the rabbit hole of whatever the hell this token is, and I'd see. I mean, I'll quickly bring it up. Let's just have a quick look-see for funsies, right? Saturday night, bunch of nerd virgins. Saturday night, man, how old am I? 38. 10 years ago. What was I doing 10 years ago on a Saturday night? I was doing my architecture degree, so I was probably wasn't really going out then either. I was probably also staying up till like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. So Treasury bill. So it's not much is going on here. But we got Jimmy Cook. I know that this is Jimmy Cook, and that's bonded heavily with Hex. So you could go down this rabbit hole, and yeah, basically, I'd be looking at this, and yeah, I think definitely teddy bear. A long answer to a simple question, but yeah, definitely teddy bear. But more so, whatever's going on with this. So whatever's going on with this, what's going on with this token, and have a look at all the backing of that token. What's that storytelling? But it would all be like. It's almost like you've got this token, which is got this web behind it, but then it's not just like that's thinking of it in a linear way, because that web here is interconnected with this web over here, which is interconnected with that web, which is interconnected with that web. And so it's this like, this fluid moving thing that's like in perfect harmony, continuous harmony. Money only matters as far as it buys you freedom of time. Freedom. We are the freedom chain. Clintrons. Money only matters as it buys you freedom of time. Freedom of time only matters if you know what you'll do with that time. I completely agree. And that's also where I'm really hoping this channel comes in handy in the future for a lot of people, because there's only so much stuff you can do, right? With money. It's like you're going to get bored. You'll get bored. I mean, you just talk to people. If you don't do anything, if you retire in your 20s, you might think, oh, it's the greatest thing. I'm going to retire in my 20s. I'm going to become a crypto millionaire and retire. But then what? what are you going to do with all your time? You're going to get bored, man. You're going to get bored. You're thinking it's the greatest thing because in your mind, you have this concept of work, which totally sucks ass. And so because the mind exists in this dualistic state, your mind is thinking work sucks. So the opposite of work is freedom, no work. But then eventually you're going to have freedom, no work. And you're going to be like, well, this sucks. There's no fulfillment here. What am I even doing with my life? What's the purpose of my life? And then you're going to start to wonder, what's the purpose of life? What's the purpose of life? And then that's where your boys are going to be over here waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And all this content, hopefully by that point, is going to be like, all right. And what is that? What is that? Oh, what is it, Rick James? I'm going to be here like this. Oh, I'll help you. I hope you find the meaning of life. I hope you find that fulfillment. Oh, my pleasure, Sammy. My pleasure. This website is awesome. Zimus, are you talking about the why is this rugged? This is on, but maybe turn that off. My apology for the dark mode crew. I don't know if you're talking about the liquidity pool Versals. So all these websites are in the description, by the way. So yeah, I don't mind the questions, but please look first because I'm pretty diligent with providing all of the things. I'm pretty diligent. So I try to provide everything so I can get the least amount of questions. Hey, yeah, Muddy, happy birthday, bro. Keep it 420. The boys having a chop. Did you see the video when Richard is sending a message to Maria? I did. And yeah, I mean, there was this whole like speculation about it being Maria Rahel. And then it ended up being some other Maria from Sen's Foundation. So, you know, we love trying to connect the dots with all of these things. So, yeah. Good stuff, Muddy. Good stuff. Ram, sending awesome vibes now. So now go jump timelines as your avatars rests. Hey, so Ram, and I mean, everyone here, this also helped me with this kind of thesis of a down. I saw this huge tweet today with like this dude who had 6,000 followers and like it had 1.4 million views on Twitter. And he was basically talking about, like he was saying something like, it was an epic tweet. If you're into this sort of stuff, which I personally am, Sack Daddy. Sack Daddy Maria. Yes, look at this. If you guys haven't seen this, it's so good. Sack Daddy. He's stealing all the pDAI. All right, where was it? Damn it. It was like an epic tweet, right? Someone was talking about, he has these like visions of the future and he doesn't share them with anyone because people think he'll just be crazy, but they just keep coming true. And obviously he confides in his wife these visions that he has of the future. And his wife's just like, you need to share this stuff. You need to share it because it keeps coming true. And so he put this tweet out and he's saying, by the end of the year, something is going to happen. Something major is going to happen. It's going to be either really negative or really positive, and it all comes down to us. And so I saw that, and I'm just like, I don't know. I'm looking at that going, the markets are going to go down. Everyone's thinking like we've had it. We haven't really had it too easy, but it just fits. I mean, how the look at this, bro. Look at this pump. How can you be upset with a pullback? We just did like a freaking, we just did a 21x from the last bottom. Like, how can you be upset with a pullback? Like, how can you be that greedy that you don't want anybody else to get in? How can you be that way? I mean, again, I could be so wrong. I could be so wrong that it ends up being, this is it. This is the bottom and it catapults and it comes out of this. Could be so wrong. And I'm totally okay with that. I'm hoping, in a way, I'm like putting my energy into the hope that it comes down to the 1 cent, because I want new believers who didn't see it or didn't have time or didn't have money or whatever, or, you know, I don't know, Magwali in Kenya. I want Magwali in Kenya to be able to get his million pDAI. He's not going to get it with the kind of wage that he gets there. I want him to get it. That's my mindset. Who cares if it goes down? If it's going to go to $1, does it matter if it goes there by Christmas or in a year? So, yeah. When I saw that tweet, I was just like, oh, you know what I'm seeing? All the people talk about, you know, this debt ceiling bullshit. And I'm just like, man, I've seen this. I've seen it play out. I saw it play out when I was doing Forex trading, and I wasn't like a massive Forex trader. I wasn't like Somi, like, you know, in a business or anything. But I saw the manipulation. I was like, hang on a minute. They're telling me to read these news articles, and I read these news articles, and the news articles are like 90% opposite of what's actually happening in the market. So it's almost like the news articles are there to sucker you in, like, oh yeah, the Australian dollar is going to rise by tomorrow because, I don't know, Gina Reinhart's going to buy whatever, I don't know, a pig farm or something. But it ends up doing the opposite all the time, like 90% of the time. I was like, this is a bunch of bullshit. This is just like pure market manipulation. Everybody knows it. We all know it. Everybody here in this channel knows it's all market manipulation. We all know that it's a scam. But if you and I do it, we have to sit here saying, oh, I'm not a financial advisor. Oh, no expectations of profits in return. But it's the same thing. We're doing it. We're playing. We're basically taking their rules that they've just made up, and we're doing it here. But we can't because they have all the power. So I was going to swear, but I won't because I should keep calm. But I'm a fighter. I'm really like, I'm loving this. I'm loving this because I feel like it's a revolution, and I will very, very happily die for this revolution. Very, very happily die. Because I'm sick of that old world. I'm sick of a world that's not a fair world for everyone. You know what? You can have those rules, but as long as those rules apply to everybody, and I can sit here and I can pump the boys' bags and tell them like, hey, boys, I'm about to go on YouTube and I'm about to talk about this coin, and then it's going to pump, so make sure you buy it. But if I do that and anybody finds out, it's like market manipulation. But the Federal Reserve can go ahead and do it, and the Congress can go and pump their bags. Like, you kidding me, Nancy Pelosi? Like, are you kidding me? Like, she's... Like, what? It's disgusting. And it's only disgusting because it's not applicable to everybody. If it was applicable to everybody, I'd have no problem. But it's the unfairness of it, the injustice of it that makes me sick. Huge rant there. But yeah, I don't know if you saw that tweet. So yeah, there was that tweet where this dude said, and of course it's like a, you know, you can look at this and go, oh, you know, he said something bad or something good is going to happen. Things like that happen all the time. That's the rational mind that's going to look at that kind of a tweet and go, oh, all right, well, that means nothing. And then something happens and he's just going to claim it. But I feel the sincerity of his words. For a start, even just in his tweet, I can feel the sincerity of his words. And then also I base that on my own perception of reality and my own things that I share with very, very few people. I don't like the things that I've seen about the future. I don't share it with a lot of people because I'm just like, there's no way. They'll just think I'm on crack. So I'm not going to share those things. But they keep happening. And so he was talking about this, like, you know, this idea of like the blending of timelines. And I'm like, yeah, well, that makes sense. You know, time and space is just this one indivisible thing. We're living in the eternal present. There's no such thing as the past. There's no such thing as a future. It's just the eternal present. So it makes total sense for like the ripples of what's going to be rippling back into what is. It makes perfect and logical sense to me. And I don't know the math and the physics of it, but it just makes intuitive and logical sense to me. Again, happy birthday, Muddy. We have to keep... Hey, everybody who loves this channel should love Muddy. Because if it wasn't for Muddy, I wouldn't be in the Atropa ecosystem. So everybody who loves this channel loves this alpha. Muddy's the genesis of it. So Muddy, this is the genesis mindset. Muddy's the genesis of Atropa. But junk shit could be what you love. What happens then? Nothing. Hey, Stu, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all that's wrong with that. But what I'm saying is there's only a fixed amount of things in the world. And there's only so much stuff that you can buy. And if you get happiness out of that, a fleeting sense of happiness, then great. But you know deep in your heart that it's a fleeting sense of happiness because you just need to buy the next thing. I mean, you just see it everywhere. Oh, I've got this new jet ski. And then, oh, I've got the new latest jet ski. And, oh, cool, I've got the new latest jet ski. And, oh, I've got the next jet ski. And, oh, look at this jet ski. It's even better than the last one. It's like, how many jet skis do you need to have before you realize, like, it's just boring? And it's like, so what? And, that's a very condescending thing to say. But the principle of it, the material things. Alexander the Great of Macedonia conquered the world, the first human being on the planet to conquer the world. So he owned the whole world. And he died at 33. And he said, bury me with my hands outside so that people will know that the one who won the world died with nothing. I look at that and I'm just like, Alexander, Lexor, you goat, you Macedonian king, not Greek, but Macedonian. You're a king, Lexor. You're a king of kings. And it's a profound statement of truth, because the material things, they fade, they disappear, they're not real, they're nothing, even from the perspective of quantum mechanics. So yeah, you can get your fleeting happiness from it, but you keep needing to get that the next hit. Where does it end? It ends as big as your bank. How many stories do we need to hear from like billionaires who have, all their families abandoned them? They have all the money in the world. They have the biggest house in the world. They keep buying things and they're just not happy. They're not happy because money can buy them anything, but it can't buy happiness in the end. It can give you a degree of happiness. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with the junk shit. That's fine. But the point of that is this world of capitalism has a limit. There's only so much stuff that we can make. Now we have artificial intelligence coming in. Now we have robots coming in. Now we're going to have like massive issues with the job market. Something's going to have to give, and the system as it is at the moment is not going. It's too out of alignment with nature. It's not in harmony with nature. Is my coin that I love get destroyed? Oh my. Not sure what that was about, Stewie. Why would this ecosystem grow as opposed to your coins? Easy question to answer. Because of what I answered before, that it's in an equilibrium. So it's all this. I mean, simply speaking, it's all just fake liquidity that's leveraged on fake liquidity. So as soon as you make a token, let's say the Atropa ecosystem, and the Atropa ecosystem. I mean, yeah, basically. Okay, let's look at that. So DAI Stablecoin, pDAI, he bought 5 billion of it. So that 5 billion that went into it was also other people's money that went into it. So it had value in it. Then he invented a token called the Atropa ecosystem, and he bonded it with pDAI and then burnt it. So as soon as he bonded that Atropa with pDAI, it had a value. So he had 5 billion pDAI. Let's say at the time it was worth, I don't know, $1 million. Let's say it was worth $1 million. And he invented this token out of thin air. He invented it minted it out of thin air, and he bonded half of it, or whatever the percentage was, with pDAI. So then all of a sudden, this token had $1 million in liquidity that just got created out of nothing. Nobody put $1 million into it. It got created out of nothing. So you multiply that, 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 you multiply that. The whole Atropa ecosystem is like that. So it's all this liquidity that's been minted out of thin air, which basically can leverage off each other to create like an equilibrium of moving pieces that can make the charts keep going up and to the right, also with burnt liquidity. So I don't know if that answers the question or not. And that could be completely wrong. It could be completely wrong. That's just what I see. So Stephen, thank you for Gbaby That The Gwat. I still haven't got what G-Dude is. So BFF That The Light, Gbaby That The Gwat, G-Dude That The... makes sense. Neptune, Crypto Neptune. Good to see you in here, bro. Makes sense. Atropa is so liquidity bonding. We are so winning. Dude, I completely agree. So, makes sense. Atropa is so liquidity bonded, we are going to win. Yes, exactly. And it also makes sense that it slows down in the end. So, okay, may your investment bring you gold. And may your investment also bring you gold. Make no mistake about it. Like if you get happiness out of buying things, I'm like too harsh on it, but it's just my opinion, right? But I do believe that there's an eternal truth to that, because from the perspective of truth, from the perspective of God, God says, the wise bury their treasures in heaven and fools bury their treasure on earth. What's he saying? He's talking about it's a multi-layered thing, but it's talking about material things, the earthliness, materials. It's something that doesn't actually exist. Even in quantum mechanics, if you go and look at quantum mechanics, everything's just an illusion. It's all just energy. In the end, it's just It's just nothing. It's a nothingness. So this thing only has value in as much as we give it. And so we have this like concept of happiness associated with it. But how is that really happiness? You know, you go to India where they're so poor. They're so poor. They're living in slums. And some of those people are like the happiest people in the world. That's not necessarily a good statement, but they also still have the levels of happiness that we have in the West. But if they had a certain degree of money, it's like money gives you like this foundation of happiness, but after that it's like, well, how much more happiness can it give you? But yeah, anyway, that's for me, I feel like it's a truth, but I can't it'll never seem like a truth to you because you just think it's a subjective perspective, which you're also correct about. So Fibonacci cup and handle, Bart Simpson head and shoulders, Teddy looks good. Yeah, Teddy's great, man. Teddy's got the up arrow. So basically when I onboard people into Pulsechain, I get them to buy pDAI, Teddy Bear, and maybe like one of the Richard Hart core coins. So Maria makes these coins with weird ass names in other languages. Yeah, I think it's deliberate. It's like there's a. I mean, even this. Let's have a look at what was that one here. There'll be some sort of meaning to this, right? Translate. What's the translation for this? Translate this text. Oh, all right. Let's go. Translate into English and let's see what it says. I don't know what language this is. Maybe it's Mandarin or Eastern Lightning. Eastern Lightning. So I'm sure that has some kind of significance. And then, you know, what's this? Same thing. So yeah, but there's like a deliberateness to the names, but it's also like it's to keep out. I mean, again, if we go back to I've been waffling for so long. I can't believe this is another huge episode. It was going to be like such a short episode. So that Hex token, I'm now not looking at these things as like buy and hold. I don't look at the Atropa ecosystem like that anymore necessarily. So like Tubor, I don't look at Tubor going, oh, wicked, I'm going to buy Tubor and it's going to do a 10,000x. I'm looking at Tubor like, oh, wicked, I want to buy some Tubor, bond it with Treasury bill, put it in liquidity, and then just leave it there and hope it pumps. Hope Maria mints Treasury bill or something along these lines. You know, and there's the fact that Maria minted Treasury bill, 7.7 million Treasury bill for the first time. From my recollection, Maria hasn't minted Treasury bill. So mint 7.7 million Treasury bill, then creates these 8 tokens which back Treasury bill, which are bonded 1-to-1 with it. There's no coincidence there. So it's like a different kind of game. So it's like if the Jeets come in and buy this, expecting a 10,000x, they're going to get hurt because it's not going to do it. It's not going to do it. So I think there's like a deliberateness to the naming. So what's going on, Fox Mulder? And you tell your peeps to buy into the Hex Pulse ecosystem and you're helping people. Maybe lost people, bro. I'm not sure what you're talking about. I would love you to clarify that, Stu. And you tell your peeps to buy into the Hex Pulse ecosystem and you're helping people. I'd love you to clarify that. I'm not sure what you're talking about there, but I would love to answer that, Stu. I don't tell anyone to buy anything. You can do whatever the hell you want. I'm just here presenting something that I find deeply fascinating. That's what I'm doing here. So unless you're talking about someone else in the chat. Time of Aquarius, brother. The tide has turned towards righteousness. Salute to you as well, Ram. Salute to you. The time has turned to righteousness, man. The time has turned to righteousness. January, things are going to rip. B-Root's birthday, January date unknown. Trump. I completely agree. I completely agree with you, man. I completely agree. And that's why I started this talk at the start here. Shit, I've lost it. I started the talk with Bobby Lucas. Little bounce is not surprising, but I would bet that we see a deeper low before a new high. So I honestly think we're going to see a deeper low. Everything's liquidity bonded all across all of cryptocurrency. I mean, this is barely a dip. This is barely a dip. And you see how much people are freaking out. Why are they freaking out? Because the expectation. We've had this first pump for the first time in a long time, and now people are freaking out that it's dipping. It's, for me, that tells me that it's probably going to dip some more. But I could be wrong. And then I think January, because we're now in a bull market, I don't think we're going to have, I mean, if you have a look at this is, again, April to basically the start of September. So, April, May, June, July, August, September. That's like 6 months. I don't think it's going to be 6 months. We're in like the bull market now. So the bear trends are going to be like very short lived. This could be the maximum bear trend here, and then it could rip. But I do think, because every single last crypto bull market that was in Christmas just ripped for 3 years, for 3 times in a row, I think it's going to not do that this particular time. Because I don't know if anyone remember me saying, like, you get 3, everything happens in threes, and then it's a switch. And this is not a hard fact, but this is just something that I've noticed with markets. They'll do things in threes, and then it will and then everyone thinks, three is like a confirmation of a pattern. If you see it once, it's like nothing. If you see it twice, it's like, oh, that's interesting. If you see it 3 times, it's like, oh, that's a pattern now. It's like something that's like consistent. 2 times is not really consistent. It's just like, well, okay, that's a coincidence. 3 times is a pattern. So then what does that mean? Then the rest of the market goes, oh, wicked. This is so easy to predict. I'm just going to follow this trend that's happened now for the 3rd time. And that's the people that get wrecked, because the market doesn't give a shit about them. The market just wants to make money, and they make money off people like that. Could be completely wrong. It's just a very subjective perspective on how I've seen the markets from my, limited experience. So 197 actually. Yeah, smash the likes. Please smash the likes. I would definitely appreciate that. Let's get this alpha. I don't even know what a Gwat is. I don't even know. I just remember Maria saying it once. I was just like, Gbaby That The Gwat. I got no idea. Bro, just please give the punchline to the joke about Gbaby. We don't get it. Are you because you haven't seen Seinfeld. Ah, man. I don't want to say it on stream. I mean, it's just my sense of humor. And it's not an offensive thing at all, but maybe some people will be offended by it. But yeah, G-dude. Funny analogy about the country's happiness, even without money. Often I've seen kids flying kites, which are just plastic bags, and they're more happy than the brats here with $100 kites. Exactly, man. Exactly. That's also something that I've definitely seen as well. So no problem, Peanut Brain. I think I'm going to leave it there. If there's any other questions, I am enjoying this, but again, it's past midnight, so I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining. Hopefully, these streams are long, and I don't intend for them to be long. And I always wonder, like, am I going to have a lot of things to talk about? I was really anticipating this to be like 15 to 20 minutes. But then once the comments start coming, and then once I start to see things as I'm sharing it, they end up going for quite some time. But I feel like this was some pretty awesome stuff here. Like, even in the concept of showing what was happening with Treasury bill, I thought that was particularly epic. So if you've just tuned in now and you want to like observe some of the alpha, I'd definitely go back to, I couldn't tell you when it is, maybe the 1.5 hour to 1 hour mark, when I started talking about Treasury bill and the concept of the Treasury bill with the 1-to-1. I feel like that was probably the most epic alpha in all of this whole stream. But yeah, just to summarize, and I'm just looking at all my different tabs to summarize that. Basically, my outlook on the market is still bearish. Is not the, I don't know. It's a bearish trend. So I don't think it's going to last long. I'm with Bobby Lucas, maybe a week to a week more, and then it's going to rip. That's my outlook. So long-term bearish, but short-term, it's like a little wave in a big wave. And then we also talked about the risks of the Dysnomia ecosystem, making sure that we highlight and understand everything first. Then we talked about Gbaby That The Gwat, and then Treasury bill, which for me was the most fun because it was really diving into this ecosystem. Peanut Brain, that's it. So are you streaming live when pDAI pegs, or will you be under too much excitement? Oh, bro, when pDAI pegs, you damn right I'll be streaming live. I'll be streaming live up into it because I'll probably be sharing some of the things that I'm doing. So, yeah, as pDAI gets close to that dollar, I've even been thinking about it now. Like, I wonder what the math is going to be for a liquidity provider that provides liquidity with pDAI and eDAI. So even though token count, you're going to token count, if you just hold the pDAI, and like if you have $1 million pDAI and you wait for that dollar, then you're going to have $1 million, right? But in a pDAI and eDAI, I just wonder what the math is going to be, because eDAI stays at it's just $1. But as pDAI goes up, because it's bonded with this, your wait. It will, I don't know. I'm not sure about that actually. But yeah, that's one thing where I'm like, oh, do I want to provide a liquidity pool now, or do I want to do it when it gets to like 90 cents to minimize any kind of impermanent loss? Because I think, yeah, by the number of tokens, if it pegged tomorrow, then you would end up losing like a shitload of tokens, because the ratio would be like, would push 1-to-1. So, you might have at the moment, what's the ratio at the moment with pDAI and eDAI? The ratio at the moment is like well, yeah, at the moment it's 0.018. Which ends up, yeah, basically it means like, hundreds of thousands of DAI at the moment equals thousands of eDAI. And so as that goes up to $1, if that goes to $1 tomorrow and it pegs in the way that people think with Richard Hart, then you're gonna, because of the ratio, it's gonna like, yeah, I can only sort of very rudimentary understand it, have a rudimentary understanding, but basically you're gonna lose like a lot of your, if it was in liquidity, you would lose a lot of your pDAI in that ratio. Because the reason why you have so many of the pDAI, what is it? I'm just going to have a look at this very quickly, because I'm actually quite curious by this now. So what is one DAI stablecoin? So one DAI stablecoin equals, bro, 55 pDAI. So because the liquidity pool locks it in a ratio, if that was to peg tomorrow, for it to peg tomorrow, it becomes 1-to-1. So it's almost like you're going to end up losing like 54 pDAI. This is also why I think the idea of it pegging tomorrow is just a bunch of bullshit, and it's just going to fuck up everything across all of Pulsechain. I don't see it. I don't believe it. I think it's nonsense. But it would be great, because I'll be a millionaire overnight. But it just seems like a bunch of BS to me. So, but I could be completely wrong. And people, yeah, they want it to be true, but I just don't see it. And this is just one ratio, by the way. pDAI is in like liquidity with thousands, I think almost 2,000 tokens. So that means like there's 2,000 liquidity pools. That's just going to like, it's like, from an energetic perspective, it'd be like, it'd be like, I don't even know, but basically like, throwing an electrical item into a plugged in electrical item into like a bathtub. It would just mess everything up. It just doesn't make logical sense to me. That's just me. Could be completely wrong, but yeah, the reason why I went onto this little side spiel is because when it does get towards $1, what am I going to do? When it gets towards 90 cents, would I provide liquidity then? Or is it even a good idea to provide the liquidity now? And then if it does do these ebbs and flows, by the time it does get there, because of all the volume that ends up going into there, you might end up getting there with more pDAI, but I doubt it. I think you'll end up having less. But then if people, you might have less when you actually get there and it locks 1-to-1. But then if you have all these people that then go, all right, I'm selling out of my pDAI and I'm going to start buying Richard Hart assets, or, putting it in eDAI and bridging out, then it might fill up your bags and it ends up being like better than just holding it. but who knows? I certainly don't. So I've got that pair too in a little small one. My best pair, I think, is PUSDC and interesting. That's your best pair. The volume in that's not so great, but I still think it's a great pair to have, because if you're just going to be holding pDAI, it makes sense to put it in something that it's 1-to-1 with. And if there's any volume flowing in there and it gets to $1, you might only end up having like, I don't know, plus 6% between now and the next year. But if you've got 1 million pDAI and if you've got 2 million pDAI, but then you sell 1 million into PUSDC, you put it in liquidity, and it ends up getting 6% through there, and you increase your bags by 6%, you'll end up having what, an extra 60,000 at peg? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So anyway, I'll leave you with that. Thanks for joining, everyone. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for staying. Thanks for watching. Thanks for spending time with me on a Saturday night. Oh, one last comment. Pablo. What a name. Pablo Hexcabar. What a name. Whatever X is one side of the LP token does compared to the other token bonded, you would get only half of the X. Whatever X is one side of the LP token does compared to the other token bonded, you would get only half of the X. Oh, yeah. I need to write that down, because I think you're right. I've heard Rich Hart talk about this, and I just don't know that visually and mathematically. I don't have an image in my mind. I've only heard it, and I've only seen it now in words, but I'm going to take note of that. So thank you, Pablo Hexcabar. So good night, everybody. Have a good Saturday night or a Saturday day, wherever you are in the world.